Have you ever really felt a rivalry? This is a rivalry they felt pretty strongly about for now 101 meetings. And we're happy to bring you another one from Williams-Brice Stadium, 80,000 plus tonight in Columbia, for the annual get-together between two of the most bitter rivals in the country, the Tigers and the Gamecocks. Clemson, South Carolina. Tommy Bowden and Lou Holt spending a good part of their weeks discussing job security. Lou has plenty of it. His contract rolled over now through 2008. Tommy would like it, you would think would have it, in fact, after 2 weeks ago, Bill Curry knocking off his father in Florida State, although no official announcement has been made yet, regardless of this outcome tonight.
No official announcement, Dave, but Dr. Terry Don Phillips, the athletic director at Clemson University, has been very open in his praise of Coach Bowden and his staff. He says he appreciates the resiliency and the courage, and he's seen the obvious improvement in the football squad. Now, as for Lou Holtz, he's feeling this rivalry, as you suggested. He said, my next-door neighbor's a Clemson guy. My golf buddy's a Clemson guy. We got to win, otherwise I hear about it all year. And you sense in the background, Dave, that this South Carolina staff would like to have this young squad for those bowl practices that will only happen if they can win this game.
Tommy Bowden's team is going to a bowl. The question is which bowl. If they win tonight, obviously, they help their prospects considerably. And when we come back, just before the kickoff, we will hear from the head coach of the Tigers, and then Clemson, South Carolina. Back at Williams-Brice Stadium, 80,000 plus, packing the house tonight in Columbia. Let's welcome down on the field the third member of our crew, Heather Cox.
Coach, you have firsthand experience with some of the nation's most historic rivalries. How would you rate this rivalry?
It's very intense. It reminds me a lot of the Alabama-Auburn rivalry. Intensity, 365 days a year. You usually work beside the guy or woman that you that's cheering for the other school.
Over the last 2 weeks, historic win over number 3 Florida State, and then a very focused win over Duke. How has your team's confidence changed over the last 2 weeks?
Well, I say 2 wins like that are really helpful. Come off of the disappointing Wake Forest loss, but 2 shots in the arm 2 weeks in a row. One not expected, one's expected. But again, I think it showed tremendous focus of the team the last 3 weeks.
Coach, best of luck to you tonight.
Thank you.
No question, he's got one of the hottest teams in the country. And the team that comes into this game with the better record has had a terrific result for the most part.
Dave, I cannot recall ever seeing a team improve as drastically from the Wake Forest game that Clemson played to the Florida State game. They went from a disastrous performance to playing the number 3 team in the nation with all the implications with the family and all that, and just had a near flawless performance. So I'm sure that Coach Bowden and his staff would like to have that continue right here tonight.
The Tigers have won the toss and elected to defer. Matthew Thomas, along with Dante Robinson, are back deep for Carolina. As was the case a year ago, trying to finish this season on an up note. Their schedule gets much more difficult when they hit November. And they have turned a possible winning season into, they hope for, a 500 season. If they win tonight, they get to 500, they get a postseason opportunity. But at this moment, the only thing on their mind is we have a chance to beat Clemson and brag about it for the next 364 days. Jad Dean with the opening kick and all the way through the end zone. So South Carolina will start from its 20-yard line with junior quarterback from Camilla, Georgia, Dondriel Pinkins, who does not grip the football by the laces. He says he never has, he never will. It doesn't bother him. And by the way, he's a dangerous runner, too. He's the 3rd leading rusher for the Gamecocks. who are 5th as a group in the SEC on the ground, and they will need to grind it out some tonight. They have a much more reliable ground game than passing attack. Clemson lately very difficult to run on. Ask the Seminoles. And on first down, Pinkins rolling into a sack behind the 10-yard line. A loss of 12. Dewan Polk, Leroy Hill, Maurice Fountain, all into the act for the Clemson defense.
This big defensive line is the key to the football game, according to Tommy Bowden. If the front guys, starting with Donnell Washington, Dewan Polk, in the action here, Maurice Fountain hitting the quarterback first. If they can control the football game, obviously, it will work very much to Clemson's advantage.
Leroy Hill used to getting back there, second in the country, and stops behind the line of scrimmage. This is an ACC officiating crew led by referee Ron Cherry tonight.
And with a ball control offense, this is the absolute worst possible beginning. Dacus Turman, number 20, is a leader on this football team. He can line up at the fullback position as he did on the first play. He's also the running back in the one-back set.
Offensive line, Chris White for the injured John Strickland at center, and Alston moves up to White's previous spot at right guard. So they had to shuffle a little bit this week because of injuries. Horton, their most consistent, starting in his 28th straight game. The Clemson defensive front, Washington broke through last week at a 10-tackle game. That's the first time in 6 years a defensive lineman has led Clemson to tackle. Linebackers, Hills, we said, second in the country tackles for a loss. League 5th all-time career tackles for Clemson.
And we saw Ty Hill, the young corner that moved over from running back last year, severely tested by Florida State, but he had a wonderful performance in that game. He'll need to do the same tonight.
Any idea what the issue on the delay is? The clock is showing 14:35, which you would think is somewhere around where it ought to be.
Well, maybe we're getting ready to find out.
Now he's headed to Lou Holtz's sideline first.
And Lou's walking away from him. Lou doesn't see him. He's not intentionally being rude. He's got his headset on. The official's trying to catch him, and the official's not as fast as Lou.
Heather, what do we know about this delay?
Well, what I've been told is the game clock is just fine. What's not fine is the down counter. You know, the thing that clicks 1, 2, 3, 4 is not operating, so they've run back. They're going to get another one. Good thing they've got a backup. They're bringing it out, and then we'll get back to action. But the game clock's good to go so far.
Okay, well, that shows first it is actually second down and 21 officially.
Feels like a dial-a-down. Be hard to mess that up.
It's pretty low tech, isn't it?
They must have a lineman over there holding the thing.
So after that delay, Pinkins out of the shotgun and from his own end zone into the turf as he tries to get a screen set up. Khalid Vaughn coming with some pressure for the Tigers.
Khalid Vaughn on the pressure. He beat Nashawn Goddard. Clemson not deceived by South Carolina's screen game. In fact, one of the things John Lovett, the defensive coordinator for Clemson, is keying on is the really sophisticated variety of screens that South Carolina has.
Now on third down. Still needing 21. Pinkins. Deep man coverage and incomplete. He laid it out there pretty nicely from Matthew Thomas, the second leading receiver for the Gamecocks. Couldn't bring it in. It was there to be caught.
Good gracious alive. A beautiful throw by Pinkins. Thomas is going after Ty Hill just like Florida State did. He's got to step on him right here. When you see space between those two, the defender's already beat. Should have been a catch.
So from the middle of his own end zone, Joey Bowers, a little bit of a rollout and a very low kick, and it's bobbled. Scramble at the 40. And no indication. At least not from anybody
I got to tell
in
you,
official capacity.
Dave, all that stuff you hear about how brutal football is, the bottom of one of those piles is as brutal as it gets, because it's whoever has the ball when the officials get to the bottom, and they're dragging people off, and I mean, it is a war down there.
Well, Justin Miller was at the very bottom of the pile for the Tigers, and so they hang on. They have unbelievable field position for their first possession at the Gamecock 40. Miller getting congratulated for digging his way to the bottom of that pile. And now the sophomore from Duluth, Georgia, Charlie Whitehurst, son of a 7-year NFL quarterback, a couple of years starting with the Packers. That would be David Whitehurst, who taught him poise and the mental game of football. And he is poised beyond his years as a sophomore. On the first carry, Chad Jasmine gets about 6 right through the middle. And we look at the rest of the Clemson starting lineup.
Chad Jasmine is a load. As we just saw on the first play, the first tackler never brings him down. He runs through people.
3 wide out look. Hamilton, Elliott, Youngblood, they're all dangerous. Hamilton at 6'4", Youngblood at 6'5", are especially going to be difficult to cover. And again, it's Jasmine. He'll have a first down as he leads forward inside the 30.
That run right there is exactly what I was talking about. He was hit 2 yards short of the first down marker. He dragged people forward. Marcus Lawrence, who's a superb middle linebacker, he got the first.
Clemson at 7-4. They're third in the ACC coming in at 5-3. Really relaxed since the Florida State game, in the opinion of their coaching staff. It's one of those games that teaches you, if you wondered about it before, you can play with anybody. Whitehurst plenty of time, and the swing pass to Dwayne Coleman. Dante Robinson right there on it. The rest of the Tiger offensive starters, as we look at the blockers up front. Johnson, the top offensive lineman, strongest Tiger ever in terms of bench press. Henry playing his best ball the last couple of weeks, though. The seniors there in their final matchup with South Carolina.
These 2 defensive ends you just saw there, Thompson and Goss, Lou Holtz calls the best 2 defensive ends potentially he has ever coached. Now think about that statement.
If they play to their potential.
If they play.
A different thing. Run blitz and they nail him. Dwayne Coleman with Jermaine Harris up from free safety almost as the ball arrived.
This is a beautifully timed safety blitz. The strong safety, Jermaine Harris, comes from deep. This is not something that the quarterback can anticipate or check off. You see him come from the right of your screen into the backfield. No blocker for him.
And so 3rd and long. They need 16, line to gain the 20. Another blitz picked up this time, and Whitehurst going deep. Caught! Touchdown! Derek Hamilton, 36 yards. Whitehurst to Hamilton for the 10th time this year. Derek Hamilton, junior from Dillon, South Carolina. As the Tigers cash in the great opening field position they were gifted with. Aaron Hunt with a PAT, 7-0 Clemson. After the short, low punt, recovered at the 40. Whitehurst with the strike to the junior. Hamilton and Clemson up first. Derek Hamilton represents the nature of this rivalry in this series as well as anybody. South Carolina recruited him, but as a safety, he wanted to play wide out. Played it pretty well right now for South Carolina's most bitter rival, and he has the Tigers up 7-0 early. So again, Chad Dean with the kickoff, his first one unreturnable. And so is this one for Robinson.
This is a very sophisticated football play. We just saw a beautiful pickup by Dwayne Coleman, number 3, on the blitzing Jameisha Jackson, and then we'll look from the big angle and we'll see how this route develops. This is a zone defense right here. Taki Muhammad is supposed to pick up Derek Hamilton as he comes inside on the skinny post, but Hamilton freezes him with an out step and back inside. A perfect throw. Taki Muhammad just moving back over from wide receiver and maybe just a little rusty on his man-to-man coverage.
He was a wideout until just last week, but originally a DB. Dacus Turman, leading rusher for South Carolina this year. At a 123 game against Virginia, John Leak tracks him down. Turman, a sophomore from Washington, Georgia. Last week, almost was the operative word for Carolina. He almost pulled out a win for them over Florida. 122 yards as they lost narrowly. And Leak has been so prolific. Top 5 all-time tackles in Tiger history. Said this week he looks forward to the second year in a row of ruining the Gamecocks' bowl hopes. That is a possibility. Turman again, Leak again on the tackle. It will be 3rd down and about 5. You've played in rivalries like this. You coached in them. And the people who have played in some other rivalries and coached in some other ones and can compare Clemson, South Carolina to some others, the one that seems to come up the most is Alabama-Auburn.
That's right.
Out pattern is incomplete. Pretty well thrown that time by Pinkins for Troy Williamson, but incomplete.
That's the second drop ball. South Carolina was plagued in their first 2 games of the year. Troy Williamson is their fastest receiver. They've had 2 drop balls so far, one on a deep route, which would have been a very big play by Matthew Thomas. They had 17 drops in the first 2 games, 2 drops already tonight. So the nerves of that big-time rivalry you were talking about, Dave, sometimes take a while to settle down.
They thought they had cured the drop problem. Apparently not. This time a much deeper kick and a chance for Derek Hamilton to return it. And he is very dangerous. They finally rout him out of bounds at the 39-yard line. A 46-yard kick, and he gets 11 out of that return. ACC's leader in all-purpose yardage, and Clemson's all-time leader in all-purpose yardage. Hamilton, who has Clemson up 7-0.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, presented by Pontiac. Vote for this week's ultimate Pontiac high-performance play at ESPN.com/Pontiac. And in part by Wendy's Wild Mountain Chicken and Wild Mountain Bacon Cheeseburger. It's better here.
Back in Columbia, Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, and Heather Cox, 7-0 already in favor of the Tigers, and they have their second possession at their 39-yard line. And this time a keeper by Whitehurst after the fake to Jasmine. Mo Thompson there for the tackle, and we go down to Heather.
Dave, over the last couple years, generally speaking, Clemson's developed a bit of a pattern. Following a big win, the next week they've let down to lose. Just this year, following a win against Georgia Tech, they ended up losing to Maryland. And then following a Virginia win, they lost by 2 the very next week to NC State. But Clemson did break that cycle after their historic win over number 3 Florida State. The next week, in a game coaches admitted they were scared of, the team focused to beat Duke resoundingly. Coach Tommy Bowden says it's because of this team's character and maturity, much different this year than in years past.
And that really showed up last week, because if there was ever a chance to sit back, it would have been for Clemson against Duke, and they did just the opposite. They womped up on the Blue Devils pretty good.
Yeah, and Duke has proven that they can beat people under Ted Roof's leadership.
Curtis Bam, 17 yards on the catch. And again, Whitehurst rolling, shovel pass. Hamilton hit at the 30, falls forward to around the 27-yard line, and that's 14 more yards. And Jermaine Harris on the tackle, the nephew of Franco Harris.
And one way to control those fine defensive ends, Mo Thompson and George Goss, is with traps and with little plays like this shovel. Here comes a counter shovel pass, a little bit dangerous over the outstretched arms of a defender there. Tremaine Tyler, who almost tipped that ball, Another very accurate left-handed forward toss by Whitehurst. I'm not sure how much he's practiced that.
Enough.
Yep, obviously.
Tigers on the move. Whitehurst going deep again. Open. Goal line. Touchdown. Aries Curry for 28 yards. And since you asked, his ankle and thigh are just fine. He didn't play at all last week. He didn't practice much early this week. Aries Curry feeling not as well as you can feel at the moment. He's made it 13-0.
Adrenaline does marvelous things for a sore ankle or a sore thigh or sore anything. It was just a simple post and a busted coverage. Jermaine Tyler again, number 23, the one who almost tipped the forward pass, the left-hander, had trouble with the right-handed version on the skinny post with 4 vertical routes.
Aries Curry, one of 4 Tigers from here in Columbia, and it is 14-0. What a start for Charlie Whitehurst. 5 of 5, 89 yards, 2 touchdowns. And that group has got a little to talk about. They have outgained Carolina 104 to -5 in his first 2 Clemson possessions. 3 kickoffs, all touchbacks for Jad Dean.
And how does somebody get so wide open in the middle of a coverage? Here's Tremaine Tyler, number 23, who thinks he has help on the hash from Andrea Goss, number 19, and it just never develops. Nobody at home. John Gutekunst is one of the best secondary coaches in America, and he has enormous work to get done with his football team here to get them back together and get them cohesive.
Well, so far it is the Clemson we've seen the last 2 weeks. And for the Gamecock fans, unfortunately, it's the South Carolina they have seen for the last month or so. And the Tiger defense again swarming at the line of scrimmage. Leroy Hill leading the surge. They're already concerned. We've only played 7 minutes.
Well, I know this is going to sound funny, but this is a little bit of a dangerous situation, because if you're Clemson right now and you're the coaches, what you can't have is the players start thinking, oh, gee, this is going to be easy. It will not be easy. South Carolina will make a run.
1 yard for the freshman, Demetrius Summers. Pinkins rolling. And keeping it met hard at the line of scrimmage by Hill, who tracked him from the middle of the field all the way to the sideline. Tuesday night, as we swing into full college basketball mode, huge matchup through the top 5 teams in the country. And first up, the Roy Williams era underway for North Carolina. They welcome Davidson to Chapel Hill, ESPN 2, 7 Eastern. On ESPN, the Bill Self era has begun in Kansas. And they take on number 3, Michigan State, at 9 Eastern on ESPN. Can you ask for a better early matchup than Michigan State, Kansas?
No, you just can't.
And you're going to get it. 3rd and 9. 4-man rush. Pinkins going deep again. Single coverage and incomplete. Intended for Matthew Thomas. And let's get an update in the studio from Matt Weiner.
Taco Bell takes us to Seattle for the Apple Cup. Washington State and Washington on UW's home field. Matt Cagle to DeVar Darling, who reels it in. Cougars up 10-0.
So Josh Brown on to punt it away for South Carolina. Yet to get anything at all established. They have -4 total yards. Excellent kick here. Nose down spiral. Hamilton from his 35. Flag down. Just about how the last punt ended. Hamilton weaving his way from left to right sideline and gets a 14-yard return. Marker thrown right about where one of his first blocks would have been thrown, right in front of Tommy Bowden.
Looked like 39. Buddy Williams sort of did a hog tie on Ike Crowfoot, the long snapper. Those long snappers are tough. Long snappers are hard to block. All right, there it is. Wow, that's some technique. Coach Bowden's not going to be real pleased with that.
First down.
As a former long snapper, you honored that a long snapper would get that kind of attention?
Well, I'm honored that somebody thought it was important enough to jerk him down on the ground, but Clemson coaches won't be honored about it. I mean, nobody ever had to block me because I couldn't tackle him anyhow. Kerfoot must do a good job covering.
More flags and whistles as this play was to start from the 29.
False start. Offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
And it'll now come from the 24. Tommy Bowden's team has already seen 91 passing yards, 5 of 5, 2 touchdowns from Charlie Whitehurst. And a 14-0 lead for the Tigers in this series. Brad Scott, the offensive coordinator for the Tigers, former head coach of the Gamecocks, and one of 7 coaches to have coached on both sides. Says what really makes this rivalry stand out is the fact that in the state of South Carolina, it is the only show. Hamilton out to the 32. We again hear from Matt White.
Dave, Missouri and Kansas State winner has the inside track to meet Oklahoma in the Big 12 title game. Darren Sproles' 5-yard touchdown makes him KSU's all-time all-purpose yardage leader, and the Wildcats lead 7-9.
Battling for the right to meet Oklahoma, the Big 12 championship game. Hamilton got 3. Or got 3 beyond the original line of scrimmage. Got a total of 8 yards on the first down carry. On second down at 7 now. Whitehurst is still perfect, and the catch is made by Kevin Youngblood up in midfield and a gain of 19 yards. Youngblood, 6'5", can leap about 40 inches from a standing start and enjoying his 23rd birthday today. Already has his degree.
Clemson is at the line of scrimmage so quickly. There are a lot of things we'd like to show you on replay. We can't do it because Clemson's snapping the ball so rapidly here. Or at least they're threatening to at the line. They're at the line of scrimmage almost instantly.
Corner blitz. Wayne Coleman running away from the blitz, but still into trouble. As George Goss is there, defensive end. Gamecocks say their best player probably. Jeremiah Garrison there, Freddie St. Croix as well. This defense needs to show up. They haven't yet.
That's right, and the best neutralizer for outstanding defensive ends, Mo Thompson, George Goss, 91 and 99. Lou Holt said potentially the best defensive ends he's coached. The best equalizer is rhythm passing. You pass on rhythm, doesn't matter if they beat their man. The ball's gone.
They say without Goss, and he missed a couple of games with a sprained knee, they just don't have any pressure. Whitehurst sliding on the keeper for a first down to the 38-yard line, a gain of 13.
Taqi Muhammad having a tough night. It was a safety blitz. He was up in the line of scrimmage, had a chance to make the play for a loss, and just couldn't come down with the suddenly elusive Charlie Whitehurst. There comes Taqi Muhammad, who's a quicker, should be a better athlete. Whitehurst showing his niftiness. A lot like his dad. Had the privilege of coaching his dad, David, with the Green Bay Packers. I was the line coach there. Unfortunately, Dave, he had to run a lot, but it wasn't because we wanted him to. I had to improve as a line coach. Then we started protecting him better his second year. Charlie's got a little wiggle there.
Hey, he's their leading rusher tonight. He's scored twice for 15 yards. Through the air, 6 of 6 now, 110 yards and the 2 touchdowns.
They're forcing the defense to deploy and then looking to the sideline to get the play, and here it comes.
And on play action, another man wide open over the middle, tight end Ben Hall. It has happened 3 times now in the same area of the field. A 39-yard touchdown.
Charlie Whitehurst showing uncanny accuracy, very little pressure, rhythm passing, the neutralizer for all great defensive lines just can't get there in time.
Aaron Hunt is 3 for 3 tonight. So Hamilton, Curry, and now Hall with touchdowns going deep middle. And for Hall, it's just his second catch all season. He missed last week with a bad shoulder. Feeling no pain right now. Whitehurst is still perfect. When we come back, who's looked the best to coach this year? One of the 10 Clemson records already held by sophomore Charlie Whitehurst is 5 career 300-yard passing games. It's halfway there in the first quarter tonight. 7 of 7. 149 yards. He just threw his third touchdown, and Jadine finally has a returnable kick. Williamson with a flag down now as he is tripped up at the 22. Clemson as if shot out of the cannon tonight. Up 21-0.
And the surprising thing, Dave, is that it's been on 2 superb routes and 1 rather basic route, all just verticals, and they've beaten either the coverage or specific defenders on blown coverages or just a man coverage, and it's been so easy.
All right, now you're always talking about effort, and we're always looking for great efforts. We're finally going to reward great effort.
Yes, reward great effort, since that's the only way I could stay on the field was with great effort, and we want to recognize the best efforts we've seen this year.
So we're going to look at a few of them, and when we're all done tonight, we will award the Billy Award, the inaugural Billy Award.
I like that.
So the Gamecocks trying to get something, anything brewing, and Dacus Turman carries. Now, our first nominee from Florida State, Greg Jones, the powerful running back.
And the free safety, Dexter Hill, makes a good effort to get there, but he wasn't real glad that he did. That, folks, is taking on a tackler by the outstanding back from Florida State. That's effort.
Very early in the season, but it's one of those that sticks in your mind.
Stuck in Dexter's mind.
Demetrius Summers, the freshman from nearby Lexington, all-time leading running back in South Carolina high school history. All-time leading scorer, brought down by John Leake right at the line he needed.
I know the ESPYs are a big deal to somebody, but we're going to give you some fun with the Billies, which is a bigger deal to me. What are you laughing? Is it, what kind of, was that a
finally
derisive
an award
laugh?
named after you? I would hope it's bigger.
Well, we could call it Davy.
No. First down of the game. Gamecocks outgained 177-6. As Pinkins again going deep in the tight end. Ryan Brownlee hanging on as Carolina finally gets a little something brewing. 26 yards.
Well, I guess we're going to take turns at busted coverages tonight, because that's a simple tight end down the middle, a standard route against the 2-deep zone. The linebacker's supposed to run with the tight end or the fullback, whichever one. It's a delay, and he's right down the middle. The linebackers had already bailed out, Leroy Hill and John Leake. And as usual, Pinkins was on the target.
They give out of the gun for Turman. Their best all-around running back.
The very important thing to note here early in this game is the problem has not been Dondrio Pinkins. He's been accurate. He stood in there and taken his shots and thrown the ball well. It's just that his receivers haven't been coming up with it.
That completion, in fact, the first of the game for Pinkins. Now 1 out of 5. Second down and 8. And the option, Corey Board, another true freshman. With a flag, probably a face mask at the end of this run, which goes 13 yards. Eric Coleman, defensive tackle, reaching and grabbing for the Tigers.
When you play against Lou Holtz's football teams and Skip Holtz's offenses, you never really completely shut them down without seeing some answer to what you've been doing. We got a personal foul, face mask, and if it had not been a first down, it would be an automatic first down. And this guy, that's perfect execution. Pinkins takes the ball to the end man on the line of scrimmage, and that's Corey Boyd, who as a freshman has come in here and been an outstanding leader. Coach Holtz gets animated when he talks about Corey and what a tough, outstanding football player, and he will get in the faces of these veterans and get this game going. And that's exactly what he just did. He's ignited the team and the crowd.
As the Gamecocks were losing to Arkansas a couple of weeks ago, he went up to the defense. This is a true freshman we're talking about. Said, finish it right. Dacus Turman finishes that run right and gets down to the 7 as he drags Anthony Waters and Ty Hill. Well, they're in the stadium, at least. We wondered if the Gamecocks were even in the counting for
I'm telling you,
touchdowns.
Turman and Boyd are in the game. Number 4 and number 20. Here's number 4 making a nice block down the field, and number 20 right behind him. Boyd and Turman leading this football team with some good work by the men up front. Question whether Travell Wharton could go tonight, and the big man, the big left tackle's coming to life.
2nd down and 2 with 2 tight ends. It may be whistling Boyd.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Let's send it down below to Heather.
Well, Coach Kerr was just talking about the health of Travell Wharton. Well, offensive coordinator Skip Holtz said his health will dictate the way he calls the game. After watching Wharton at warm-up, he said he'll decide how he calls the offense. If he's effective, he said he'll start the game running. If it ends up Wharton is limited or replaced, they'll have to pass the ball. So far on this series, the running game finally looking effective for the Gamecocks.
Well, they've run it twice as often as they've passed so far. And they've only completed the 1 pass, but that kick-started this drive to Brian Brownlee, the tight end. 2nd down and 7 now. Things a little different. Pinkins play fake rolling. And keeping. One broken tackle and reaches inside the 10-yard line, where Leak is already on another tackle. That's 6 already for John Leak.
Big man, Travell Wharton, number 68, one of the better offensive tackles in the country. During warm-ups tonight, we watched to see how his feet were moving, and it seemed that they were moving rather well. He was a little moving gingerly on that ankle, but he's out there sucking it up, getting the job done for his football team right now. He's another key leader, and this is the first key play in this game. This 3rd down is very, very important for South Carolina because of what the score is already.
Official timeout. If they're held to 3 here, it's going to feel to Clemson as if they didn't get anything.
Well, it'll be a big victory for Clemson on defense, but just the fact that they've driven down the field, they have run the ball, they have thrown the ball effectively. When that bunch comes back over to the bench, Skip Holtz and the offensive staff can say, okay, men, good drive. Now we're rolling.
Sunday night football. Good matchup as Steve Spurrier returns to the state of Florida. The Redskins take on the Dolphins at 8:30 on ESPN. As always, now available in stunning high definition on ESPN HD. Call your cable operator, DirecTV, or the Dish Network. NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite starts off with proceedings at 7:30 Eastern. Now 3rd and 4, Carolina. And the shovel will not get enough for a 1st down to Summers, who tried to get inside. Leroy Hill got a hold of him, wouldn't let go, and now on will come the field goal unit, and out will come the Bluebirds at Williams-Brice Stadium.
And the hope is that when the quarterback sprints to the left, to his left, that Leroy Hill, the fast flow linebacker, will overrun that play, and that the back will be able to duck back inside. Leroy Hill, too clever, and made a nice play, a big play for his team.
Time runs out on the 1st quarter. So they'll have to run down almost the length of the field. There is no wind here tonight. That's not a factor at all. And when we begin the 2nd quarter, Daniel Weaver will be trying a 26-yard field goal.
Some of the fans already booing the decision by Coach Holtz to kick it. It's the only thing.
Rivalry week presented by Pontiac. Clemson and South Carolina located a couple hours apart. 2nd quarter opens now, and Daniel Weaver boots it through from 26 yards, and the Gamecocks are on the board, but the other side of that is they had to settle for 3. The only time they have moved the ball at all against the Clemson defense.
And Dave, they ended up 4th and 4. And if you'll recall, how many times have I said through the years that 5-yard penalties kill drives? There was a 5-yard motion penalty. Without it, they would have had a first down inside the 5 and working on a touch instead of having to settle for 3. Those little bitty things kill you in rivalry games.
Let's send it back for an update in the studio with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, on this rivalry Saturday, the Iron Bowl, Alabama and Auburn at the Tigers' place. Carnell Williams, first play from scrimmage, and look at him go. 80 yards as he separates toward the end zone. War Eagle up 7-0.
Is there any way to describe what that feels like to be the Alabama head coach and stand there helplessly on the sideline and watch an Auburn guy go that distance for a touchdown?
Well, it's especially if you've coached against Bo Jackson and Fullwood and Lionel James and so many others that I shudder to remember. No, it's not a good feeling to watch those guys go the distance, but they always have a stable of running backs like no other team in America. And you just saw one of them right there, Cadillac. And there is a hairdo.
Well, Tiger defense finally gets gashed a little bit. But they stand firm around their own 10-yard line and force Weaver to settle for 3. And now Bowers to kick it off. Justin Miller capable of bringing a punt or a kickback all the way. He's already shown that in just 2 years of college football. He's back deep along with Derek Hamilton, and this is Hamilton. Return to the 22, our ESPN2 game track. All Clemson, all Whitehurst, all up the middle. Hamilton, Curry, and even Ben Hall with just his second catch of the season. 3 touchdowns on 7 tries for Whitehurst. Only Tiger ever with a 3,000-yard passing season. The most prolific passing season a Clemson quarterback has ever had. And he's 8 for 8. This will be close to a first down as Youngblood makes the catch and is swarmed. It's just target practice.
Yep, and the distribution is pretty clearly down the field. This is not something that's just little dump offs and things. He's throwing the football, as you can see, down the field in the left quadrant, down the middle, as you said, Dave, and then only a couple of passes thrown in the shorter zones. So it's not little crossing patterns, these 8 for 8s. He's been throwing difficult touch passes with perfect accuracy.
His coaches say by the time he got to campus, he was already years beyond most freshman quarterbacks mentally. And that goes back to the training he got at home with a dad who was playing 7 years in the NFL. That short of a first down on the first down throw to Youngblood.
But some kids that grow up with football dads just eat it up and study it from the time they were little. My son, Billy, for whom we'll name this award, the Billy Award. Y'all want to name it for me? I'm going to name it for my son.
All right.
But Charlie was obviously the same kind of kid. They just love football. They study it from the time they're little. So he had good basic understanding of what poise and effort and concentration meant before he ever lined up to play.
One of his records, 3 games of 4 touchdowns. He already has 3 in this one with less than a minute gone in the second quarter. And he'll sneak. And I don't know if he'll get the first down, maybe on the second effort.
And there we saw the big guys up front for South Carolina make a stand. Randy Jackson, number 95. Brandon Schweitzer, number 96, just knocked those big guards back. Jeremiah Garrison coming over the top. I don't think he made it either. That was not the best technique. I think Coach David Whitehurst's dad might want to work with Charlie on his quarterback sneak technique, because you need to get those pads down. don't give those big guys, those linebackers, anything to hit to get up underneath you.
That is absolutely no gain. Let's again check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, back to Manhattan, Kansas. Missouri hasn't beaten Kansas State since '92, and they're down early in this one. Darren Sproles got one on one side, got one in the other end zone, 14-0.
For the dubious honor of playing Oklahoma in Kansas City. See if they go sneak again on third at about the length of the ball. Nope, this time into the hands of Chad Jasmine, and he should have it if they give him the spot before he was pushed back, and they will. First down. Jasmine, another Tiger, already with his degree.
Yeah, we've had a remarkable year for the father-son thing. I mean, we talk about David Whitehurst, who played for the Packers with us, and his son Charlie here. We had the drama with Tommy Bowden and Bobby Bowden 2 weeks ago over in Clemson, and we sort of had a run this year of father-son acts. We'll get back to that.
Sons have had a good year.
Yeah, they have. Real good year for the Sons.
So Whitehurst back in the gun. And they go end around, and Hamilton bottled up on the inside, stretched out, gets about 1.5 yards out of it. There is Charlie's father, David. Last week we had a chance to see Otis Wilson's son Quincy. What a running back he is for West Virginia. Earlier Kellen at Miami, and Eli at Ole Miss, as well as Jared, son of Walter Payton, at Miami. And the first time ever a son beat a father in Division 1A history. Not exactly a gift from Bobby. He wanted to win that game as much as he wants to win any. Bobby just clearly that night had the better team. I mean, Tommy just clearly had the better team. Wayne Coleman on the inside carry.
He also told Tommy, well, at least your next 5 days ought to be a little more relaxed.
Maybe. Even that might have been arguable.
But it's not something he wanted to give.
Well, he did get the first win for a son over a father. Highest ranked victim ever for Clemson. They held the Seminoles to 11 rushing yards. And Bobby Bowden's been there since '76. No one had done that to a Florida State team on the ground. Carolina tonight's got 31 on the ground, but only 37 through the air. And on third down, Whitehurst still perfect. Coleman across midfield and knocked out by Robinson at the 46-yard line. 9 of 9 for Whitehurst. That one goes 17 yards.
This is a beautifully executed and a well-conceived play. Dwayne Coleman lines up on the left side of Whitehurst and comes all the way across. He's come all the way across the field. The linebacker simply cannot run with him. Marcus Lawrence, middle linebacker. Dante Robinson has to force him out of bounds on the corner. What a brilliant call on 3rd and 5. You just can't cover that.
So 10 of 10, 176 yards. And Jasmine. Hancock's at least swarming the ball carrier now. A little closer to the line of scrimmage than had been the case earlier.
For South Carolina fans that are sitting out there saying, oh, our guys aren't trying, South Carolina may be trying too hard. If there's a fault, they've been tight. They're smashing, they're hitting hard, they're stopping the run well. They just have not played the precision things, have not been in position in the little passes and some of the big passes.
Number 3 offense in the ACC. They're already more than halfway to their game average. Moving the ball at will. First incompletion, and it was thrown perfectly between the 2 and the 1 to Hamilton.
Well, we've seen South Carolina drive the football. Clemson's been perfect in throwing and catching until this moment. And what happens now is the Clemson players, no matter how hard they try to steel themselves, they start thinking, oh man, this is going to be so much fun. I'll be so glad when this is over, instead of thinking about making the next play. You lose that concentration, Carolina will be back in this game in a heartbeat.
Excellent protection. Long out and broken up, intended for Curry. Tremaine Tyler burned on one of the touchdowns, but he makes the play here.
Now those very same players that were freezing at the switch half a quarter ago are now loosening up, breaking on the ball. Tremaine Tyler, number 23, a nice play to break that up on the sideline. Yet another perfect throw, but perfect defense beats perfect offense. And now South Carolina will have the ball back.
Cole Chasen called on for the first time tonight to punt. He's their holder, so he's been on the field, but at the end of drives. And this one he will try to get to back up. He can't do it. So they'll net just 25 yards off the punt by Chasen, redshirt freshman. We're early in the second quarter in Columbia. And it is all Tigers in the 101st meeting between Clemson and Carolina. It's a Clemson slanted series lately. They've won 5 of the last 6, including 27-20 last year. Williams-Brice Stadium with 80,000 plus. 2 years ago they met here. Before a record 85,000. Some of the notes in the history of this rivalry. Kerry Cox, USC captain 43, enrolled at Clemson at one point, and then World War II intervened. This is Demetrius Summers, the true freshman from Lexington, who sat out the last game against Florida. Practiced Monday for the first time since he got a concussion against Arkansas and was okay now. So enrolled at Clemson after World War II and captained the Tigers after captaining the Gamecocks. Can you imagine any such thing today? Both sides of the rivalry in the most intimate fashion. Kerry Cox.
I wonder if he had a problem with multiple personalities.
Summers. And a first down to the 36, 37-yard line. One of the most anticipated careers in a long time here in Carolina. The all-time leading rusher in the history of South Carolina football. More than 9,000 yards. That's 4th all-time in U.S. high school football history. 127 touchdowns. Another state record. Lou Holtz first saw him as a sophomore in the state championship game. Said, I want that kid. A couple of years ago he got him, and in keeping with a recruiting promise, on the first play of the first game this year, he handed the ball to Demetrius Summers. Trying to get the corner turn, another prize freshman, and Savell Newton has no room to try and turn that one upfield.
On the previous play, the man that made the key block that popped Summers through there was Travell Wharton. We've talked about him all night, number 68. The outstanding leader in the left tackle right here. You'll see a backside cutoff block. Nice job of moving the feet, using that big body. Maybe not as low as you would like on Trey Tate, number 92, but he contained his man with a good legal block and popped his back through there for the first down.
And they decline the penalty with a loss of 7. And they go with the play for second down at 17.
South Carolina continuing to self-destruct with penalties at just the wrong time, just as they had momentum.
Newton went in motion. Here comes a blitz. Wide open on the side over there is Turman, and Turman reaches the 40, where it will be a at least makeable third down, a gain of 10. Tackled by Travis Pugh. We've seen Newton get involved on this series too.
One of the weaknesses of the zone blitz, sometimes there's a conscious decision by the defense to give up a zone. Linebacker blitzes and just leaves his zone open. That's exactly what happened there. Pinkins alertly found it. Leroy Hill was blitzing. He threw hot. Now they got a chance. They got about half the yards back.
So Newton comes wide right on the inside. And here comes third down. Pinkins flush. Keith should have the first and does. And tripped up, but gets another 3 or 4 yards out of it and makes it to the 47-yard line of the Tigers. A gain of 14 yards.
Looking forward in this football game, this will be one of the key features. The protection is fine. Pinkins knows what he needs for the first down. He sees that he can get it and he gets it, and very nearly a whole lot more. His capacity to run and convert first downs will be big as South Carolina continues to make a run at Clemson here.
So a first down and 10. And the Tiger defense swarming Turman. Let's get an update from Matt Weiner.
Hi, Dave. Back to Seattle. UW and Washington State. Cody Pickett to Charles Frederick. With this pass, becomes Washington's all-time leader in TD passes. More importantly, has his team back in the Apple Cup.
You know, with all due respect to the most wonderful time of the year, the bowl season, this is the most wonderful time of the year because all the most bitter series are played
All
out.
the stuff's happening. Yeah, this is the playoff. People want to play off. This is it.
I'm talking rivalries.
Yeah, rivalry playoff.
Pickens, deep middle, caught Boyd to the 23, and the Gamecocks with a 24-yard strike now starting to slash the Clemson defense.
What we're seeing is a South Carolina team that came out tense, too excited about the rivalry, made mistakes. They continue to make little nagging mistakes, but they're now overcoming them with their quarterback's accuracy and the fact that he's getting some cooperation from his friends now. The big guys are blocking better, and the little guys are catching the ball, especially Corey Boyd, who, by the way, is a great effort player. He's one of my favorite effort guys of the year.
Pickens looks up, sees the play clock down to 2, and calls timeout, first of the game for either team. So we're midway in the second quarter, and the Gamecocks finally fully engaged, and a chance to get it a little bit closer. Monday Night Countdown, presented by UPS, provides comprehensive analysis, interviews, highlights, up-to-the-minute NFL news, and live reports from the site of ABC's Monday Night Football game, 7:30 Eastern, leading up to the matchup Monday of the Giants and the Buccaneers. Tiki Barber against Rondé Barber, 9 Eastern, ABC. First down now, South Carolina, with flags and whistles after a timeout.
We got movement down there on both lines, and the officials will have to decide, but it looks as if they're calling it on Clemson. When the defensive man moves into the neutral zone and the offensive man moves as a result, then the penalty goes on the defense. That's the call. But we've got a young lineman down there, Chris White, who's starting at center. He's a true freshman. He's starting. Here's the call. Okay.
5-yard penalty.
John Strickland is the normal starter. He's out with an ankle. So Chris White's down there having to make all the calls, recognize the defense, call the protection. That's another facet of what's going on here. As he settles into the game, Coach Holtz believes he's going to be an outstanding player in time.
White in just his 4th start. Others have been at guard. Inside the 10 and almost down to the goal line. They'll mark him out at the 2. One of the best runs of his freshman year. 17 hard-earned yards.
I got on the elevator today with 2 enormous human beings. Turned out they were Travell Wharton and Nashawn Goddard, the offensive tackles, number 68 and 70. And they're the guys that made the key blocks here. What a great job up front by the Gamecocks. All right, number 70, the right tackle. Look how he turns. He makes the hold. There it goes.
Full house backfield, first and goal, 2-yard line. And they'll throw for it. Touchdown, second catch tonight. They have both been big for Brian Brownlee. And how unlikely that a backup tight end who had caught 5 balls all year catches the first ball that gets Carolina's offense into the game. That leads to the opening field goal after they trail 21-0 and now gets them 6. And Weaver to add the extra point, and it's 21-10. The Gamecocks in it here in Columbia. Hart Turner, you expect to be a target at tight end. Not necessarily the second tight end, but Brian Brownlee has the Gamecocks' first touchdown.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by Visine Tears. It works just like your own tears to get the dry out naturally. And by Pioneer Plasma Displays, taking high-definition television to a whole new level.
SRO, as we expected, 5th largest home crowd in the history of Williams-Brice Stadium, 83,987.
Kicks off.
And we have a game. We were wondering the first 8 or 9 minutes, but it was 21-0 Clemson. And Charlie Whitehurst was hitting his first 10 passes. Carolina's here. They're being heard from. Justin Miller returns it to the 31-yard line. The Tigers will go from there.
On the return for the Tigers.
South Carolina on the goal line, not going to mess around and give Clemson a chance for a goal line stand. Take a look at the tight end slipping out here with Dacus Turman in the flat. Nobody covering. Travis Pugh in hot pursuit. The free safety just can't get there. That was from a full house backfield, and when you fake the run, everybody's got to commit to it, and if you just throw the ball accurately, you have the touchdown. Beautiful call by Skip Holtz.
So now up to the Tigers to respond. And it's Jasmine breaking tackles to the 47.
Jasmine.
And after a gain of 15, let's check in with Matt Weiner.
All right, Dan, let's check back in with the Iron Bowl at Auburn. 7-2 game. Jason Campbell looking for Ben Obamanu. Broke a tackle. Broke the Tide's heart. 64 yards. He'll go for the score. 3rd catch of 50 or more yards this season for him. You see the score there. Washington State leads the Apple Cup at half, 13-7.
This series every bit as hotly contested in Palmetto State as either of those two. Whitehurst, high floater, jump ball, batted down by DeAndre Island, giving up 5 inches in that matchup with 6'5" leaper Kevin Youngblood.
Yep, Tommy Bowden loves those jump balls. When Kevin Youngblood walked in for our interview the other day, I said, that can't be Kevin Youngblood. This couldn't be a wide receiver. He looks like a linebacker. He's huge, 6'5", beautifully proportioned. Nice call, but a better play by Island.
After a 10 of 10 start now, Whitehurst has missed his last 3, and Carolina has scored the last 10. Back to the ground, Wayne Coleman getting loose inside the 30. Well, Jasmine with 15 to start this drive, and now Coleman, sophomore out of Naples, Florida, chips in 25. Coleman actually their leading rusher with 557 coming in.
This is what South Carolina really wants to prevent. Great blocking by 64 Chip Myrick, and 36 Cliff Harrell pops Coleman into the secondary. He had a chance to plant and cut back there, simply allowed Harris to run him out of bounds. Would have been a good place for a cutback.
Tigers have only 100-yard rushing effort by back this year, and it belongs to Coleman, 111 against North Carolina. Ron Cherry.
Illegal substitution. Offense. That's a 5-yard penalty.
Now, just a few minutes ago, folks, we were seeing South Carolina making the kinds of errors that stop drives. Now you're seeing Clemson with too many men, confusion running on and off the field. The coach is upset on the sideline. That's Dabo Swinney, the wide receiver coach there with Coach Bowden. He's the one with his hands pumping up in the air. That means something. He's obviously responsible to get the right units on the field, but Kelvin Grant, number 88, was the object of some consternation. Now they got 1st and 15. That's hard to get. And Tommy knows that they're hurting themselves now.
Whitehurst, keeper all the way. Nobody out there. And the 3rd huge gain on the ground on this series. 21 yards for the quarterback, Charlie Whitehurst.
Like I said, really hard to get those 15-yard 1st and 15s. You just run your quarterback. Nobody's expecting. If you're in man coverage, then there's nobody to cover him. Chad Jasmine, number 10, with a great block. A very physical player. Jasmine's another one of those effort guys that could very well be up for our Billy Award. You need a good run, he gives it to you. You need a good block, he gives you that.
Can we write him in?
Yeah, I'll write him in.
Not too late?
Heck no.
Averaging 10 yards on 1st down tonight. And it's Coleman. Coleman down near the goal line. Didn't quite get it. Might have gotten the 1st down, which was at around the 1.
That was a Billy play right there by Coleman. Just dragging people, making cuts, bouncing, faking inside, back out, right by Jermaine Harris, who's a good tackler normally. And this is what champions do. When your rival comes back at you and gets back in the game 21-10, you drive the ball down the field, you overcome your mistakes. Now they got to score a touchdown.
And it is 1st and goal. It is that close inside the 1-yard line. Jasmine does the honors. Chad Jasmine with a team-high 5th rushing touchdown, and it's 27-10. They call him their meat and potatoes runner. When it's 1st and goal inside the 1, that's all you're looking for.
Tell you what else he is. He's a pads down, confrontational runner. He's the kind you want to carry the ball to goal line.
All-time Tiger scoring leader, Aaron Hunt, senior, Oak Ridge, Tennessee, in his final Clemson, South Carolina game. Makes it 28-10, 5:56 to go, 2nd quarter in Columbia.
Hey, wait a minute. There's a lot more happening at Clemson. Our nanotechnology researchers are developing organic LED TV screens that can roll up. Because of Clemson research, muscles and bones made from artificial materials or even your own cells may one day replace those lost from accidents or disease. And coming soon, chameleon fibers that change color on demand. Amazing.
Well, right at the point where Clemson could use an answer, they got it, and they got it in the form of 3 big gains on the ground. Wayne Coleman with one of the biggest, then Chad Jasmine carried it over from a yard out, and it's back to an 18-point Tiger lead. 6-play drive in just a little over a minute. Didn't take long to get the response the Tigers hoped for. After the first touchdown of the night for Carolina, Williamson kept moving after he got hit at the 20, gets a 21-yard return.
Williamson.
Terrific execution on this last drive, and the running game set it all up. Demetrius Summers here. Beautiful work up front by the big guys. Travell Wharton and mates. Nice play action fake. Draw up the linebackers. Throw it to the back. Corey Boyd down the middle. And then the little play action from the goal line that caught everybody by surprise to Brian Brownlee for the touch.
So with almost 6 minutes to go and 2 timeouts, imperative now for the Gamecocks to come up with their response. And Pinkins with a very physical gain of about 9 yards as John Leak wears him down. Let's get another update from Matt Weiner.
All right, Dave, back to that Missouri-Kansas State game with the Big 12 North title more or less on the line here. Brad Smith for the Tigers. Play action, going to look for and find DeQuincy Howard in the end zone. Tigers cut the lead in half, 14-7.
One of those great players not enough people in the country have seen.
Every time you see him, though, he's doing something sensational. Brad Smith. Wow.
So after the 9-yard gain, 2nd down and 1. Play fake, looking deep. Has a man deep. Caught Matthew Thomas and dragged down at the 40 by Jamal Fudge. 28 yards. That easily could have been 6. Fudge, the Rover, reacted just in time to save the touchdown.
Big Donnell Washington, number 96. The defensive tackle that Tommy Bowden has expected so much of really came to life against Duke, and he provided the pressure. Pinkins provided the courage and the accuracy here. Big Donnell, that's 320 pounds of man on top of Dondriel there, and Dondriel on the money with the throw.
Fortunately for Dondriel Pinkins, he's 245. He's pretty big. Got up limping that time. Corey Boyd reversing field. All that for a loss.
Dave, 245 doesn't help when 320 lands on your abdomen.
Better than 210. Better than most quarterbacks, because he's bigger than most quarterbacks.
Yeah, he is. He's a man, too.
Tripped up to the 43-yard line. Loss of 3. Second down, 13.
Really has had a solid season with the exception of the Arkansas and Georgia games.
Yep, he just didn't play well in those games, but he's playing very well here tonight.
Well, I figured, you look at their season as a whole, they're really 3 plays away from being 8-3. Boyd on the pitch and nowhere to go. They have the corner covered over there. Sunday Night Football features the return of Steve Spurrier to Florida. LeVar Arrington and the Washington Redskins will try and corral Ricky Williams and the Miami Dolphins. Redskins Dolphins Sunday Night Football 8:30 Eastern on ESPN. NFL primetime will begin things at 7:30 Eastern. Steve Spurrier, mid-season, looked as if he really didn't have much of a clue how to turn around the Redskins. Now showing some signs maybe he does. Maybe he does remember how to catch. Well, a lot of eyes will be on that matchup in Florida. Pinkins hit as he delivers deep and will get a flag on the coverage by Ty Hill, one-on-one with Matthew Thomas.
These guys watch tape now. South Carolina's coaches are smart, too. And they're going after Ty Hill just like Florida State did. Ty Hill had a superb game in that game against Crefonzo Thorpe and the other outstanding receivers. They're going after him with the deep stuff here. That's Thomas with good speed. That is a very good call. You cannot stick your arm out and impede Matthew Thomas like that. They're going to call it every time. You can use your body. He could have used his hip. Had he not held his arm out, he wouldn't have been called.
He probably didn't need to use that arm.
No, he didn't. You run hip to hip. And Ty Hill, you got to remember, he moved over from running back last year. He hasn't played defensive back for very long.
Well, Pinkins limping enough that he has to come out, and redshirt freshman Bennett Swigert is in. He has played 5 games this year, but has thrown only 8 passes. And the give here is determined. Swigert has had 2 knee surgeries the last 2 years since he wrapped up his high school career.
Little bitty things when you have to go in and play center and you're used to playing guard, as Chris White is doing. He is a fine player, but the gun snaps have not been where they should be. This is going to be something that the quarterback shouldn't have to worry about. You don't need a jump ball for the snap. It almost keeps him from making a proper handoff. Chris White will improve on this.
Another high snap. Swigert breaks one ankle tackle and turns that into a decent play.
It's just hard to describe to folks that haven't done this sort of thing. When the snap is just a couple of feet off like that, he still makes the catch, but it screws up the timing between the handoff, the fake, and what have you.
Well, you know it's got to be painful if Pinkins misses even one snap in this Clemson, South Carolina game.
Pinkins is a tough guy. He'll be back. I promise you can bet on that.
Rewrapping him as fast as they can. Meanwhile, it's Swigert looking at a 3rd and 6. Better gun snap this time. And Swigert lofting into double coverage. If he had thrown it to the outside receiver, Williamson, he would have had a touchdown. Instead, he went to Thomas. And let's see what Matt Whiter has coming up for us at the half.
Well, Dave, the BCS computers are fixing to change things at the top of the Buckeyes going down. Unusual Michigan-Ohio State game. We'll tell you about that. Ole Miss came a foot away from shaking things up in the SEC. Plus, same old story for the Sooners. Another 50-point day for them. It's all coming up on the Pontiac High Performance Halftime Report.
All right. As the Gamecocks look at a 44-yard field goal try, Daniel Weaver, who is 8 for 12 on the year, and it is blocked. second blocked kick by Weaver this year. It would have been his longest successful kick had he made it. Instead, it remains 28-10.
You see Travis Pugh, number 29, celebrating. He's the middle jumper. And the theory behind the middle jumper is that the front group gets a push on the offensive line, knocks them back, allows the middle jumper to get in a step or two closer. Here he comes. Travis Pugh catches the ball at its zenith right here. Wow, look at the hops that guy's got. That's got to be a 40-inch vertical. Nice job by Travis. Good football theory. When you try a longer field goal, the trajectory is going to be a little lower.
Rather deflating moment for 83,000 plus here, hoping to see a game get some more points. And now inside the 2 minutes, Whitehurst on the keeper into the arms of Marcus Lawrence, the middle linebacker. Well, as we again look at some of our great effort plays of the year, our nominees for the Billy Awards, this one has to be there. West Virginia running back Quincy Wilson against Miami.
Quincy Wilson, Otis's son, the great Otis Wilson, who played for the Bears in their glory years. And Quincy, one heck of an effort guy himself. Yep, he's a real candidate. I'm having a hard time picking.
One-on-one jump ball, and this time Youngblood pulls it down at the 42. Last series, Island won that matchup. 29 yards this time for Kevin Youngblood.
It's just like a basketball game. If I'm 6'5" and you're 5'10", then I ought to out-rebound you. Island's in perfect position, plays the ball beautifully, and the big man just takes it away from him. If that's ever happened, if you ever played basketball and the big guy just took it over the top of your head, that's how that feels.
Look a little like Larry Fitzgerald of Pittsburgh. Would he be a Billy candidate?
Oh, yeah.
Aries Curry is out of bounds inside the 30, and Whitehurst moving him smartly down the field. 13 more yards with 49 seconds.
Larry Fitzgerald would be a candidate for any good football award. This is just great throwing and catching. This is such accuracy. Whitehurst has grown up. I mean, this guy's going to be something very, very special as his career continues and Curry limps off. He wasn't even expected to play tonight.
Ankle and thigh problems since the Maryland game. 1st and 10 inside the 29-yard line. Tigers look to add an 18-point lead. This time they out to the other side, and this one is caught too. Tony Elliott, first catch of the night. Hard to bring down. They finally have him after 26 yards and a timeout with 39 seconds.
Tony Elliott is helping his quarterback. This is not a perfect throw. This is a low throw. This is a very often drop ball, or a ball in which the receiver goes to his knees. Look at Elliott's concentration. He looks down, watches the ball all the way into his hands. Should have put it away a little bit better, but what a marvelous look at the head on the ball. Young receivers, that's how you catch it. However, you do not run with it like that. You don't wave it around like a loaf of bread. Tony, you need to lock that thing to your rib cage, but you're really helping your QB. 13 out of 16, 243 yards, 3 touches already in the first half.
Whitehurst at his first 10. There was some question on one of those. They decided that what looked like it might have been a pitch was a forward pass. They gave him 10 straight, 13 of 16. Clemson, South Carolina, all Tigers early. They led 21-0. Gamecocks answered back, made it 21-10, and now in danger of going down 35-10 at the half. Another note about this rivalry, and this is the 101st meeting. When Frank Howard, the legend, was the head coach of the Tigers, basically through the 40s, 50s, and 60s, this series was dead even on the scoreboard.
On the scoreboard. But he was 13, 15-2, so he actually had a losing record to South Carolina. Tommy Bowden's 3-1 at this point coming into this game. That surprised me because Coach Howard is the Baron over there. He's a very good friend of mine while he was living. He was kind enough to recruit me when I was a senior in high school, and I probably didn't deserve it, but he was awful nice, and I ended up going to Georgia Tech, and he teased me about that for 40 years. He's a great figure, and we miss him.
Now the Gamecocks call their second timeout. Meanwhile, send it down again to Heather Cox.
About 50 yards from the stadium entrance on these dormant tracks lie 20
1990 when an entrepreneur decided to make use of these tracks. Now each one is valued at over $200,000 and boasts things like satellite TV, even kitchens and bathrooms, and some of the most dedicated fans in the country. Should I be pretty dedicated too if I could hang out in one of these? Welcome to tailgating's, or should I say railgating's highlight.
Now, just to repeat, you heard right, $200,000
for a caboose.
Cockaboose. You know what, though? If you get stuck in traffic often enough, I bet that would be a worthwhile investment to enjoy the scene for as long as it takes to leave the scene.
Just show up on Wednesday and you won't have a traffic problem. Stay in your cockaboose.
First and goal, 4-yard line, Tigers.
Cockaboose?
They have 2 timeouts and 39 seconds to go. Already at 353 total yards. Whitehurst at 243 through the air. And Whitehurst keeping right down to the goal line and no signal yet. Looked like he had it. They're going to mark him just short.
That's that sophisticated read play. Rich Rodriguez, the head coach at West Virginia, when he was a coach at Glenville State up in West Virginia, essentially invented that sort of play where the quarterback really looks one way and puts the ball in the back stomach for the other way. We don't have time to draw it up on a board to explain it, but we can show you. Whitehurst is going to put the ball in his back stomach. He's going to look to the right. He sees what he wants to see, which is the defensive end coming up the field. And when the defensive end commits up the field, he takes off. If the defensive end closes, then he hands it to the back.
Boy, Whitehurst tonight is the leading rusher for Clemson on 6 carries, 43 yards. There's Aries Curry heading to the locker room. We just saw him limp off a moment ago. So in addition to his 13 of 16 for 243 yards and 3 touchdowns, throw in 43 rushing yards for the sophomore quarterback from Duluth, Georgia. And the Tigers with 27 seconds, still 1 timeout. 2nd down and goal inside the 1. Jasmine with a flag down and no touchdown signal again. Evidently, even without the flag, he didn't get in, but the flag is offsides, Carolina.
This is Chad Jasmine territory, though. Got another timeout remaining.
Defense, half the distance to the goal, still 2nd down.
Especially with the fact that results on quarterback sneaks have not been particularly good. You hand the ball to your big guy with a good lead blocker, which he has up there. Cliff Harrell, the fullback.
Jasmine got the last touchdown from right about here. So they'll try him again. He reaches and gets in. Touchdown. 12 seconds to spare for the Tigers. Who now enjoy their largest lead of the game. And for just a moment, Lou Holtz had his team in this thing. After falling down 21-0, they made it back to 21-10. And the Tigers get back-to-back Chad Jasmine touchdown runs. Hunt with the extra point. 35-10 Clemson. Now, on the last series, remember, Holtz had to get his backup quarterback, Bennett Swigert, in for Dondriel Pinkins. Heather, what do we know about Pinkins?
Well, Pinkins did injure that right ankle. The training staff wanted him to remove the shoe so that they could examine and evaluate him a little bit more thoroughly. He said no way and requested that they just retape over his shoe so that he could take the field on this next offensive series, but he definitely looked like he was in pain. He sat on the bench the entire time, and that was a long series, guys. That was plenty of time to cool down and get a little swelling in that ankle. It helps so much if you just keep playing on an injury like that.
Well, one would think now they'll just take the kick in 1 snap and then give him the rest of the halftime maybe to ice it down and do whatever they need to do to get him patched up ready for the second half. But the feeling in this stadium on that last Clemson touchdown has really deflated things because they had this 83,000 plus crowd up thinking it was a ball game again. It was 21-10, and Gamecocks couldn't continue what they had started. And now the question will be, can Pinkins continue in the second half? Carolina actually came into this game a 1-point favorite, despite the recent trends for both these teams. Clemson, back-to-back wins over Florida State and Duke. Matthew Thomas on the return. Carolina with 3 straight losses and a 5-6 record coming in. And 5 of the last 6 lost to Clemson in this series. So a lot of long faces around here at the moment.
This is a tough circumstance, even for a guy like Lou Holtz, who has seen virtually everything in his career, to go in that locker room and make your guys believe that you can come out the second half and get back in this game. If anybody can do it, Coach Holtz can.
Well, even though it's probably only the 1 snap, Pinkins is in to take it, and he gives it to Boyd. And that is the final play of the half. The highest scoring half all year by the Tigers. They get 357 yards. And they will head to the locker room with a 35-10 lead. And even though it's the half, the officials have to be alert and keep the players separate. Luckily, they go to opposite corners of the field to head to the locker rooms. We will head to Matt Weiner with tonight's Pontiac High Performance Halftime Show. This was the Tiger Burn last night. Trying to get everybody in the mood for symbolically what would happen on the field tonight, and it hasn't gone that way. Not the way the Gamecocks hope. They have seen Charlie Whitehurst start 10 of 10, throw for 243 yards, over 350 total yards allowed by the Gamecock defense. Our Pontiac halftime stats pretty indicative of the domination on the scoreboard for Clemson over South Carolina. Now in the second half, what does the mindset need to be for the Gamecocks?
I'll tell you what this is for the Gamecocks. This is a statement half for the Gamecock program. Mike McGee, the athletic director at South Carolina, renewed, added on to Lou Holtz's contract, which was the right thing to do this week. These guys got to come out the second half. They got ripped for 357 yards and 35 plays. That's over 10 yards a play. They're coming back on the field. They don't show a lot of enthusiasm heading into the second half. These guys owe it to themselves and to their program to make a statement in the second half that they're going to fight regardless of how this game comes out.
Lou Holtz with his supporters got that contract rolled over this week for another year now through 2008. He's trying to solve the mystery of November. 2-12, the November record for Lou Holtz. And we begin the second half with a touchback. And Heather, what you find out at halftime?
Well, coming into this game, Lou Holtz was very concerned with Charlie Whitehurst's big playability, and with reasons, and it proves. Defensively, Lou Holtz very frustrated. He said we need to do a better job of really corrupting Whitehurst's vision, pushing him out of the pocket so he can't just step up and throw down the middle like he did throughout the entire first half. On the Clemson side, a lot more smiles. Tommy Bowden said, I was very satisfied except for 2 series in that second quarter when our defense fell asleep and didn't tackle well. Other than that, no changes need to be made.
I don't know what happened to him after that Wake Forest game, but he has one of the best teams in the country based on how they have played the last 3 weeks. Chad Jasmine, who has a pair of 1-yard touchdown runs for the Tigers. Let's look at our game track through the first half. 10 for 10 to start. Charlie Whitehurst, 3 different targets on his touchdowns. Hamilton, Curry, and Hall. And Donriel Pinkins missed a series late in the first half. Had to get the ankle rewrapped. Came back out to take the final snap of the half. Whitehurst fake and batted down. He almost caught his own pass. If he had found it a little bit earlier, he would have.
54, Freddie St. Pro doing a good job of getting those hands up. And just what Lou Holtz said to Heather. We got to get more activity in the middle and get those hands up. If you don't get to the quarterback, at least you can time it, get the hands up, and bat the ball. Great job by St. Pro to bring up a 3rd and long situation. Just what the Gamecocks need.
Can't forget about Whitehurst on the ground, the way he's run tonight. He's still the Tigers' leading rusher. Into traffic, and he finds his man. Derek Hamilton for 20 yards, perfectly placed. Surrounding Hamilton, a group of 4 garnet and black jerseys. He still found it.
Distribution of passes as Whitehurst continues this display of what can only be called uncanny accuracy. He's accurate in every dimension, with the possible, he's only 60% throwing to his deep left, which most right-handers have more problems with, but most folks would take 60%. How's he doing everywhere else? 100, with the exception of 67% in the left flat.
Holder of 10 Clemson records in less than 2 full seasons. Sophomore who deposed well-regarded starter Willie Simmons. Last year, Simmons ended up transferring to the Citadel. And it was odd that his coaches and teammates now say that the point at which Charlie Whitehurst really won over his teammates was in a severe drubbing last year, and it was in the bowl game against Texas Tech. He took such a physical beating in that game and kept getting up and kept coming and coming. Now Tommy Bowden's got a question. Holtz does as well. And the clock showing 13:54, and the Tigers charged with the timeout here. Rather odd timing after they just picked up the first down, but they'll call it and we'll take it. Just a little over a minute into the second half. Clemson charged with a timeout. And apparently the officials getting Tommy Bowden's dander up because he didn't intend to call that, but they charged him with one. Now back to play, and Whitehurst with the roll, and incomplete. Blown up by Tremaine Tyler. Ball intended for the fullback Cliff Harrell.
Just like we said in the first half, when Clemson jumped out to a 21-0 lead, players, especially players when you're loaded with young players, and both these teams got mostly young players, it's hard to stay consistent when you've got the big lead. You think it's going to be easy, so you start dropping balls, making mistakes.
Gamecocks showing a safety blitz look. Jermaine Harris inching up. Here he comes. Whitehurst rolls away from him and throws on target to Aries Curry, who limped off early to the locker room before the end of the first half. Hit quickly by DeAndre Island. So right at midfield, the next snap will come. It'll be 3rd and about 4.
Both Tommy Bowden and Lou Holtz took over programs that were struggling. 5th season at Clemson. Tommy's 36-24, Lou's 27-31. 4 bowls, 2 bowls respectively. And of course the head-to-head means the most.
And the Tigers are going to their 5th in as many years under Bowden. No ACC coach has ever done that. No one's ever taken an ACC team to bowls in each of his first 5 seasons. Underneath pass, and the Gamecocks are ready for Dwayne Coleman.
Really good pressure by those 2 outstanding defensive ends that have been neutralized by the rhythm passing tonight. And then good work by the linebackers in man coverage. Marcus Lawrence most particularly, along with Lance Lowry, number 48, nailed the play, no gain. Clemson forced to punt. And this is big. Stopping them on the first drive in the 3rd quarter, very important.
Didn't happen very often at all in the first half, and they come after Chasen and just miss him. Chavez Donnings with the fair catch at the 10. 42-yard kick under heavy duress from Corey Boyd.
Well, Corey Boyd looked like he was close, and he was close to the punter, but he was not close to blocking the kick because he was forced to the outside, and he was a good 2-3 feet from the football.
different angle might have produced a different result for Corey Bull.
Yeah, he needed to take an angle and get across the punter's foot.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday. Brought to you by A Diamond is Forever. Show her how much you love her.
Gamecocks backed up to their own 11. First time they get it in the second half. Pinkins play fake it from behind, and it's intercepted. And then dropped with the flag down. So we have three things to sort out here. The flag, the interception, and the possible fumble at the end of the interception. Maurice Fountain caused it all with his pressure. Clemson ball, it would appear.
You try to block an outstanding defensive end like Fountain with a tight end, Hart Turner, number 49, and you're asking for trouble if you hold the ball too long. We'll take a look at the pit.
On the offense, that penalty is declined. We have a change of possession, interception, first down.
Hart Turner, number 49, trying to block on the swift defensive end, Maurice Fountain. Coming off the right side, right there to your right. You can barely see him. He'll come clean now. Pinkins holds the ball. He should know better than to hold the ball that long. That's too long. Now the ball is plucked by one of the linebackers.
Leroy Hill gets the interception.
Leroy Hill gets the interception, promptly drops the ball.
Justin Miller gets the recovery.
Justin Miller covers for him. Leroy catch some heat in the meeting about those hands.
And from just inside the 10, Whitehurst retreats, heaves off the back foot, and lucky to get that one back to snap again. It was intended for the tight end, Bobby Williamson.
Yeah, we've been bragging too much on Charlie. Charlie, what are you thinking, son? Throw that thing in the dirt near a receiver. Don't throw it up for grabs. He's trying to give the ball back. That's the first really bad play Charlie Whitehurst has made. And Freddie St. Pro, number 54, defensive tackle, in his face again with a big play.
Again, survey the defense, look to the bench, then get the call. Plenty of time. Still 11 on the play clock. Guns it down to the 3 and knocked out just outside the pylon, Aries Curry, who's apparently been reborn after whatever they did with him in the locker room.
Well, sometimes when you've got an ankle and a thigh, that's usually a thigh bruise, and your ankle is a combination of sprain and bruised blood that comes down in there, and it just aches. And if you get it stomped on or twisted, it hurts for a while. If you go rest and ice it, then you can come back and play almost full speed. Now, that's probably what's happening.
So down to the 1/3 and goal.
Chad Jasmine territory.
He's got 2 touchdowns already, and now he's got 3. Four touchdowns all season before tonight for the senior from Vacherie, Louisiana. One of a number of Tigers already with his degree. Whitehurst may be getting lectured about that near interception.
I promise you he is.
On the prayer thrown off the wrong foot. Aaron Hunt with the right foot to make it 42-10 Clemson. We only had a real game for a couple of minutes tonight. Otherwise, total domination by the orange and purple. Chad Jasmine responsible for half the Clemson touchdowns tonight. You're ahead 42-10 in a rivalry game. You get to talk. That's what a rivalry game does. It gives you the right to talk for a whole year.
Well, what you hear about what people think, and they talk about bragging rights. Or I don't want to hear it all year. Charlie Whitehurst over there looking chastised after Tommy Bowden. It's great when your team's playing well and you can jump on the players for every little mistake without demoralizing them.
Most of Jad Dean's kicks have not been returnable. This one is for Troy Williamson. Nailed at the 12-yard line. And down below to Heather.
Well, guys, just how big is this rivalry game? It is so big that they've actually made a feature-length movie about it. They say this isn't just a football game. It is a license to brag for 365 days. In fact, yes, they did make that movie. It is called Bragging Rights, and this is how the movie begins.
My next-door neighbor is a Clemson fan. The guy I play golf with is a Clemson fan. And so consequently, you live with it for 365 days out of the year.
Of course, it's more than just a sports team rivalry. These are the two biggest universities in the state. This sports rivalry can take on all of the intensity of that larger university-level rivalry.
Guys, they say there are absolutely no innocent bystanders for those invested in this state. Every single person has a vested interest in the turnout of this game.
You're one or you're the other. You're not both. That's where all the good rivalries are. And at one point, there were over 83,000 here. Some of those in Garnet have started to leave. Bennett Swigert at quarterback for the second time tonight. Corey Boyd. And he fights his way near the 30. We send it back to Matt Winder for an update.
All right, Dave, Auburn looking for a little cushion before intermission in the Iron Bowl. Jason Campbell looking for Courtney Taylor. Watch the deflection, and Roman Harper. Great diving interception, 18-2 at the half. Kansas State leading in the Big 12 at home. Third quarter, got a pick in the end zone to protect that 14-point margin.
Auburn and Kansas State looking good. Clemson looking very good here. Redshirt freshman Bennett Swigert. Looking over the middle. A grab is made at the 34-yard line. The second on the series by Mikhail Goodman. Heather, we're going to see any more tonight of Dondrell Pinkins?
Actually, no. Just received word Dondrell Pinkins is out for the evening with a high right ankle sprain. That is on offense. Now, defensively, also some bad news for South Carolina. Their linebacker and NFL prospect Jeremiah Garrison is out for the game with a knee injury. In fact, he is yet to return from the locker room from halftime. He leads this team with 2 interceptions and is considered a major loss for this defense.
Savell Newton with the catch, and they're going to give him a gain to the 40 and say no fumble. A big hit by Leroy Hill there. And so the Gamecocks not only lose their starting quarterback, they lose their defensive leader, their tackling leader, Garrison, for the rest of the game.
Well, an early look at Bennett Swigert. Clemson coming after him. He read the blitz perfectly through the hot route. The young freshman receiver, Newton, caught the ball. They're executing better than the starters.
So look at the future of South Carolina right now. Shovel pass into some traffic. It is an incomplete pass. Defenders always react as if it's a fumble.
Well, they should. And they don't know that whether the ball was fumbled or pitched because you're down there fighting for your life. But the good thing about the shovel pass is if it goes on the ground, it is a forward pass and not a fumble. At that time, Swigert would like to have had that back because the back was really running into a defensive lineman as the ball was tossed. And had the lineman looked up, I think it was Donnell Washington, he would have been able to pluck it. And then Swigert would have had a chance to practice his tackling.
So freshman involved in this series. Swigert at quarterback, Boyd and Summers at running back, Newton at wide receiver. All but Swigert are true freshmen. Deep ball, and the receiver stopped on it. But Jamal Fudge didn't, and he gets the pick at the 30. Maybe the most improved defender on the Clemson roster, sophomore, Jacksonville, Florida.
Noah Whiteside, number 1, also a true freshman, is a wide receiver. The 2-deep coverage with the hard corner is based on the corner getting a good shot, a good push. It's called a chuck on the outside receiver. That happened. His route was impeded. Fudge broke on the ball.
After the play was over, have a dead ball, unsportsmanlike conduct against Clemson.
Now the first one of those we've had tonight, and hopefully the last.
Coach Bowden trying really hard to figure out who it was that cost him 15 yards. Here's what we're talking about. Look up here at the top. That corner has the job to impede Noah Whiteside, which he does. The ball is thrown, the quarterback anticipating that he's going to run the fade, but instead he gets Jamal Fudge. Justin Miller, number 9, did a nice job of the hard corner contact or chuck of the wide receiver Whiteside.
So the second straight interception by the Tigers ending a Carolina possession. Now back to work, Dwayne Coleman. Looking sophomore running back. It's 9 yards. Rod Wilson from safety along with Dante Robinson from corner on the tackle. Tommy Bowden had a team he really had to be wondering about after being blown out at Wake Forest. And look what they have done their last 3 games. 26-10, they handily defeat Florida State. Easy win over Duke. And 42 already on the board tonight with 9 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. Where has this come from? They obviously had it in them all along. Coleman has a first down. But that's the mystery as a coach, is if you know your team has that kind of potential, how do you get it out, and when will you finally get it out? And in Tommy's case, it was against his dad.
Well, you keep on. First of all, people don't realize how good Wake Forest has become. They can beat anybody like that. They've done it. They've done it in bowl games. They beat Oregon big time in a bowl game last year. So they've had some great performances. So Wake Forest, Tommy says, was a tougher match for Clemson than Florida State. And he said that immediately following the Wake Forest game. He told his guys, I expect you to beat Florida State. And that's where they began to draw strength and to improve. That's how you handle it.
Jenkins headed toward the locker room. Reverse to Hamilton. They had him completely bottled. Mo Thompson faked out of his cleats. And finally, Oris Lambert finishes the pursuit of Hamilton back at the 22-yard line.
Yes, Mo was faked out of his cleats, but he forced the play to go deep, which allowed pursuit to catch up. Mo did his job. Hamilton's a better athlete than Mo, but not much. Get up, Mo. Don't tear your knee. Gives the rest of the pursuit a chance to run him down. Oris Lambert right there to make the play. Good job. Good defense.
Another redshirt freshman. One of the youngest teams in the country, South Carolina. So they finished 5-7 this year. I think they're locked in there. Incomplete intended for Curry. Tuesday night, big college basketball night on ESPN and ESPN2. The Roy Williams era underway. You can see some of his early handiwork as number 10 North Carolina takes on Davidson Monday at 7 Eastern. Bill Self era gets a real test early as 5th-ranked Kansas takes on 3rd-ranked Michigan State. Tuesday evening, and in the top 10 you can find Michigan State and Kansas both in the top 5, and at number 10 Roy Williams, first edition of the Tar Heels. Whitehurst one-on-one deep ball. Island with the interception. The 9th of his career for the senior out of Tupelo, Mississippi.
Okay, on the night, Island, talking about DeAndre Island, number 28, he gets a Billy nomination because he has fought Youngblood, the big guy. Now he's taking on Kelvin Grant. He makes a beautiful no man is an island. That's too good from our producer, Kim Velton. This man's an island. He's been out there on an island by himself all night, and he's played valiantly and maybe sparked some life back into this Gamecock football team.
3rd quarterback of the night, Mike Rath. Junior college transfer out of San Diego, and his first toss, a deep one, and incomplete. Travis Pugh meet Corey Boyd. As soon as Corey gets up. Tigers are going to enjoy seeing that one again. Meanwhile, Corey Boyd may be down for a while. He was at his most vulnerable when the ball arrived.
Well, Corey runs down the middle of the field. It's a 3-deep coverage with Pugh being the free safety, and he's a tough guy. One of the biggest chewing outs I ever got from my former head coach Bobby Dodd is when we had the great Robert Levette at Georgia Tech, and we called a route with him down the middle, and the free safety drilled him like that. And Coach Dodd came in Monday morning and said, don't you ever send your best back down the middle of the field to get drilled like that. I'll tell you, though, this guy's tough. Corey Boyd's going to be fine. He just got the wind knocked out of him.
Mike Rath out of high school did not have any college offers because his high school ran the veer offense. So he went to Mesa Community College, proved he could throw. And for most of the year has been listed second behind Pinkins and ahead of Swigert. Hart Turner, the tight end, makes the catch.
Well, he's made 2 nice throws, even though he might have lofted. He might have hung Corey Boyd out a little bit to dry. He made a nice rope there to Hart Turner.
Update now from Matt Winder.
Dave, it's been a rocky year for the University of Washington. Winning the Apple Cup would turn things around nicely. Shelton Sampson turning the corner. 6-yard touchdown run cuts the Cougars lead to 2.
Closer than many may have expected there. Not so close here. Vegas Terman. 122 yards last week against Florida. Not that much of a factor here today. Washington State, of course, closely watching the BCS standings. Presented by Allstate.
Does that
You're
stand,
a big
does
defender.
that,
Wait.
Does
You're
that
the big
stand
defender.
for Barnett College standings?
You're a big defender of this BCS now. I have some questions. I want you to answer. The AP and the coaches agree on the top 8. Why shouldn't that be enough? That's question number 1. Rath going deep for Williamson. Out of bounds.
Wow. Great football right there by all 3 players. Rath, Justin Miller, the corner, and Williamson, the receiver.
4 of the computers say Miami of Ohio would beat Miami of Florida. Do any human beings believe that? 4 computers say that. 6 of the 7 computers had Ohio State over Southern Cal this week. And
Okay,
many,
is that a question?
That's a question. I'm asking you a question.
Okay, here's the answer. The BCS is the best we've got at this time.
How can you say that after I just listed all those computer maladies?
Read my lips. The BCS is the best we got. That's how I say it.
3rd and 6. Rath pulls it down and keeps it is dragged down to the 46.
It is an imperfect world, David. It's just can't. There's not a perfect, easy way to resolve these things.
Well, what we had before was better because at least it was obvious that humans were deciding things. And human beings look at Ohio State and USC and say, obviously USC is better. Why do you turn that power over to computers?
Well,
they're obviously getting fed bad information.
Well, how are they going to do after today?
Thank goodness they had another week.
Okay, so the system must be working.
Last week? Josh Brown on this punt, and a good one. Bobbled and recovered by the Gamecocks at the 6-yard line. Derek Hamilton unable to come up with it, and a huge break for South Carolina. Corey Peoples was there to hop on it. And they'll mark him where the ball was muffed at the 6-yard line. Unable to advance it by rule, just a recovery. They'll take it at this point. Not a fumble, a muff.
Every punt return coach in the world teaches his returner to get squared up on the football. There's Dabo Swinney working with Hamilton. He coaches him. You get your body in front of it. If you can't, you don't mess with it. You let it go and take your lumps on field position.
So 1st and goal, and back in is Swigert at quarterback. Down to the 2 is Terman. So the plan apparently now to alternate Swigert and Rath at quarterback.
Now, I really meant what I said at halftime when we came on camera. This is a statement half for South Carolina. So they got a horrific break early with the batted ball, tipped up, caught, interception, quick touchdown. Now they need to take their opportunity in right here and play this second half with some courage.
Terman swarmed and no gain. Jamal Fudge up, leading the surge for the Tigers. 1 series after an interception for Fudge. Their 3rd leading tackler. 3 defenders over 100 tackles on the season for Clemson. He was one of them.
Offensive line really struggling now, missing John Strickland at center. Chris White will be an outstanding player, but he's getting an education on the job tonight.
3rd and goal. And the fade to the back of the end zone, incomplete. Wow, all the way into the hedges. Try for that one for Matthew Thomas.
For Thomas, incomplete.
And on 4th and goal, when you're down 32, you got to go for it. So Swigert comes over to get the play call, and no move from the kicker, Daniel Weaver.
This is a ball you have to put just the right amount of loft and touch on, and it's thrown just a little bit hard. Swigert to make that throw a year from now after some more time in grade, time in the program.
Begun on 4th and goal. Safety blitz. Retreating. Firing. Flag is down. Touchdown. Brian Brownlee with his 2nd if the play stands. The flag is right in the middle of the end zone.
You can get almost anything back in there. You can get a pick call. You can get offensive interference. You can get defensive holding. Virtually anything.
On the play, have a holding on the defense. By rule, the penalty is declined. We have a touchdown.
Good news for the Gamecocks. Nice poise by Swigert. People in his face. DeJuan Pope doing a nice job of rushing. And another big catch by Brian Brownlee, the backup tight end, number 39. Looked the ball in, put it away while being hit. Justin Miller on the defense.
Weaver, who hasn't missed a PAT all year, sends that one about as low as you can and still hit the kick. And it's Swigert's 2nd touchdown pass as a collegiate. Makes it 42-17. Hey, Larry Fitzgerald ought to be up for every awards, including the inaugural Billy for this effort against West Virginia.
He just does it again and again and again. He does the impossible, and he makes it look easy. That one doesn't look easy, but normally, and then he hustles, and what does he do with the football, David?
Always finds the nearest official and hands the ball. Is there any way that can become the cool thing to do instead of putting on a dance after a 2-yard
If I were a young receiver, it would be cool to me because I'd want to play just like Larry Fitzgerald, and what a wonderful young man. And not just because he hands the ball to the official. He shows respect for his opponents, and then he beats the daylights out of them by being a great competitor. He blocks.
He's always got the ball to hand to the official.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He runs every route as if he's going to be the primary receiver, even when he's a decoy. He's a great player.
Is that all our nominees? Do we have perhaps one more Billy nominee?
We got another.
Let's say there's one more.
There's another.
Hamilton on this return of the low bouncer. And they don't wrap him up. He gets almost to midfield. We get it back to Matt Weiner.
Well, Dave, that Auburn interception right before halftime may be coming back to haunt them now because Alabama takes the kickoff and heads the other way. Brandon Brooks, 96 yards, longest play this season for the Crimson Tide. So a 14-point turnaround, and Bama back in this game, 18-9.
Alabama still got a nice trip. Even though it won't be a bowl, they get to go to Hawaii. We'll have for you. Wayne Coleman, almost enough for a first. South Carolina looks back at their 2003 season. They've got 3 what-ifs. What if they had pulled it out at Tennessee in overtime loss? What if they hadn't fallen so far behind at Ole Miss, a 3-point loss? What if they'd held on against Florida, most recently a 2-point loss?
They've shown they can play with the best teams in the country, and they've shown they can come back against a very good Ole Miss team. And they came back and they had that thing, I mean, 43-40, and they were driving to tie that thing or win it, having been down 43-14 late in the third. So they have the capability. What Coach Holtz needs from them, what he wants from them, is full-time belief and confidence. We got a man down on the field.
This is the tight end Bobby Williamson. It's a hard thing. It's I think one of the major challenges he's ever had in his coaching career. Take over a school where they are not accustomed to year in, year out success and change the mindset.
Well, what you get when you're in a culture like this, where people are accustomed to losing, is you get players congratulated for coming close. Oh, it was so great you came close to Florida. Oh, you made a nice comeback on Ole Miss. Instead of expecting to win, you get fans who are already leaving the stadium now. The stadium is emptying in a hurry, and there are fans in a lot of places who be down like this and expect to win. And so if you don't inherit that, what you have to do is continue to breathe it into your team. You got to get all your players, your recruits, sometime you can do it without that. And Coach Holtz has certainly already had success here. And he's got so many young people now, he's got a chance to build off this season, but they need to finish tonight properly.
Don't forget our matchup tomorrow night, Redskins-Dolphins. Steve Spurrier back in Florida. NFL Primetime presented by Miller Lite. We'll start off the evening of NFL football on ESPN at 7:30. Bobby Williamson still down at midfield. Sophomore tight end from Tarpon Springs, Florida. Earlier this year, injured his back against North Carolina State. Of course, not sure what this problem is, but finally at least able to pull up to a sitting position.
It looked like they were evaluating his left knee.
Meanwhile, Terrell Horton getting retaped for the Gamecocks.
Travell's done yeoman work in there tonight. Was unable to practice much this week. I was at Thursday practice, and he was really struggling with it then, but he told me on the elevator today, look, you see that steam coming off his head. He's generated plenty of heat tonight. He's done a nice job of blocking, and he's been fighting through the pain. I started to say a while ago, I got on the elevator with two huge guys, and it was the two tackles, Goddard and Travell Wharton. I was glad when we got to the bottom of that elevator well.
Did you check the weight limit out of the corner of your eye?
No, they were two delightful young men. They said they'd be ready to play. They've played hard.
Travell, this is their E.F. Hutton. He doesn't say that much, but when Travell Horton does say something, everybody listens. Jasmine through broken tackles. Chad all the way to the 24. A gain of 22. Finally, DeAndre Island with the tackle of Jasmine, who has 3 touchdowns tonight.
Jasmine just a load, whether he's blocking for a back like Coleman or whether he's carrying the mail himself. Every now and then Whitehurst calls his big back offense and carries it himself. Jasmine in there with the low pads, driving it in the end zone and driving it through people, twisting, turning, breaking away here. Just great effort play. A definite Billy nominee.
This time they've got him. It takes about 3 or 4 incarnate jerseys to do the job, but they have Jasmine. Really the perfect build for a back. 5'10", 225, all solid. Just enough speed, as he just showed, as they continue to work on the left leg of Bobby Williamson.
Well, one definition of a great back is somebody that runs in the front of a pile and out the back. Well, that's what you just saw 2 plays ago. Requires great balance, drive, and determination.
Jasmine and Coleman handling the running back duties tonight. We haven't seen Yusuf Kelly. Whitehurst looks up, all alone. Coleman, touchdown. 27 yards. The 4th touchdown pass of the night for Charlie Whitehurst. And the 3rd touchdown catch of the year for Dwayne Coleman.
Spreading the field with today's offenses is designed to create mismatches. Now we got Coleman isolated on a linebacker, Lance Lowry, number 48. He has no chance of staying up with him.
Carried out the fake pretty convincing. Jogged a couple of steps. I'm not involved in this play. Then he takes off. You look up and he's 10 yards in the clear.
Coleman did a nice job of setting the play up. You're right, Dave. He baited Lance Lowry as if he were just going to be a decoy. Here he comes across the backfield. He's sitting right in here now, and now he's going to accelerate down the sideline. Lowry sees him too late, turns, chases. A day late and a dollar short on another touchdown for the explosive Clemson offense. Brilliant play calling, which turned around this year after the third game when Tommy Bowden realized he had made a mistake by delegating the play calling and took it back upon himself to call every play of the offense. That's when things started percolating for the Clemson offense this year.
And Charlie Whitehurst, who already had the record for career 300-yard games, adds to it. This is his 6th. Remember, we're talking about a guy who's not done with his sophomore season. School record, 6th career 300-yard passing game. It is also his 4th 4-touchdown game. He has 8 other Clemson passing marks. He hangs around, gets 4 years in. There is no telling where these records are going to be when he's done. Tommy Bowden era has produced 57 Clemson passing records. It's a school that traditionally has been all about the power running game until Bowden got there. Newton on this return. He's out to the 23-yard line. Let's get an update from Matt Weiner.
Dave, the Iron Bowl is tightening up at Auburn. They got the opening kickoff in the third quarter, took that back, and then there's Shad Williams, 6-yard touchdown, 2-point game. Apple Cup update, Washington State hanging on in Seattle, 19-14 there.
So here we have Whitehurst over 300. We have Pinkins, the starter for the Gamecocks, out with an ankle. And we have 49-17 Clemson. About 2.5 to go third quarter. And Mike Rath taking a turn at quarterback, has that one batted down. Maurice Fountain starting a defensive end for the J.J. Howard.
Number 6, Charlie Whitehurst. We've used a lot of superlatives in describing him tonight. What we have not used is the word mature. After only 16 starts in college football, he does it with his legs, he does it with his arm, and he does it with his head. When you see him look to the sideline, he has to interpret those signals, make the right checks, get his team into good plays. He's done that all night long.
21 touchdowns, add another mark for Whitehurst. Rath on the scramble and pulled it down, ran out of room. He had Boyd. Not sure why he pulled the ball back down and didn't throw it. He also had Dwan Pope chasing him with great motivation, you would think, to get rid of the ball. Rath has thrown only 1 pass in his 4 games before tonight. It was intercepted. But it is Rath and Swigert the rest of the way at quarterback. And what do we know now down below about Bobby Williamson, Heather?
Well, guys, it is a left leg injury. They are wheeling him off to evaluate him further in the locker room. They're calling it a sprain right now, but they will do x-rays in the locker room. Both his sister and his girlfriend came down onto the field very nervous. In fact, his sister is talking to his mom right now, giving her the good news that they think it's just a sprain, but he will not return to action.
All right, this is going to be Boyd close to the first down, right at about 10 yards.
Looking at those knee things, you just hope that it's a minor sprain and that he'll be fine in time to prepare for the bowl game. And most likely he will.
Well, the Gator folks had said Clemson is one of their top candidates. They gave him the first down. Bowden coaching as if behind 32 points. Says that wasn't the right spot in so many words. Ball tipped up, intercepted again. Fudge again. And trips on his way to a touchdown. Jamal Fudge had 6. All he had to do was stay upright. Instead, he settles for a 44-yard return.
Well, I have 2 observations. I think Tommy will probably let the mark go. And Number 2, Jamal is going to take the most unmerciful riding when he gets into film session. Great job by John Leake to tip the ball. Jamal is tackled by the little green men that hide in the grass. And they just wait for an unsuspecting defensive back, and they trip him up so that he'll be the object of ridicule with his teammates on Tuesday. Or Monday, or whenever they watch it.
I think it's already begun, actually.
Yeah.
I don't think they're going to wait.
Prior to the snap, false start, offense. It's a 5-yard penalty, still first down.
Those little green men are really, really tough. They got me many times, but nobody could tell because I was in the middle of the line.
Second interception by Fudge. Hill had the other. That's where the receiver, Whiteside quit on the ball, and this time a gift wrapped by the linebacker Leak. First and goal from the 8. Jasmine back to about the original line of scrimmage, maybe a little bit inside of that. Rodriguez Wilson with a tackle there around the 2. We're still not done with the third quarter, and the domination has no end for Clemson on both sides of the ball.
Well, domination, yes, but also some freaky plays. Tip balls that are caught and go the other way, and it just piles humiliation on humiliation. It's the coach's worst nightmare.
Inside the final minute now of the quarter. And behind some pile driving blocks, but not quite in, just inside the 1-yard line. Remember, Jasmine already tonight with a pair of 1-yard touchdown runs in the second quarter, another 1-yard run in the third. And he had 4 touchdowns all season coming in. You get 4 tonight, 3 quarters. They're a yard away on third down. Even Jackson, the fullback. Jasmine one more time, and he's in for the 4th time. What Charlie Whitehurst's arm has not accomplished, the legs of Chad Jasmine have.
With a lot of help from his friends. Cliff Harrell, number 36, the fullback. Nice job of lead blocking. Number 72, Roman Fry, the left tackle, knocking people back. Opening up that hole for Chad Jasmine in his 4th touchdown.
Busy night for Aaron Hunt. 56-17 Tigers. This is not typical at all of this series. Most Clemson South Carolina games go down to the final series, many of the final play. 27-20 last year. Clemson winning at Clemson. That was much more typical of what you expect between these two.
Well, both coaching staffs told us that this is going to be a one-play game. It'll come down to the 4th quarter in one play, one way or another. Clemson has just come out here with not only fierce determination, but with beautiful execution in every aspect of the game.
And what you really don't expect are empty seats this early. A mass exodus leaving Williams-Brice Stadium in this 101st meeting since 1896. There's actually a period from 1902 to 1909 where they stopped the series because of riots. We think that all that kind of stuff is new to our era, not even close.
None of this stuff is new. People get heated about their rivalries with their loyalties, and there's some real good things, and it can be kept in context, and it's wonderful, and it can get very ugly.
6 sets of high school teammates playing against each other tonight. For bragging rights for the next 364 days, and those will belong to Tiger fans. Only question, final margin.
Yeah, and Tommy Bowden faces an issue that Bob Stoops got a lot of shall we say, attention for a few weeks ago with a big score, and he was trying to hold it down, and somebody suggested he was trying to run it up when he did just the opposite. You don't want to put your guys out there and tell them not to play hard, but if you keep scoring, then you're accused of running it up. It's a good problem to have, but it is an issue here.
No one who saw that Oklahoma A&M game thought it was a run-up job. 15-yard penalty after the score, marked on the kick. Dean plants that one over the hedges. Oklahoma could easily have had 100 points if they'd won it against Texas A&M.
Well, they had their starting quarterback out at the beginning of the second half, and then they had walk-ons playing the rest of the game.
8 seconds to go in the third. Let's get it back to Matt Weiner.
Dave, earlier today, Ole Miss had a chance to clinch the SEC West title. LSU had a chance to move up in the BCS in a 10-7 game. Matt Mock, Devery Henderson, 53 yards. Last chance for Eli Manning, tripped over his own lineman, 16 of 36. LSU wins at 17-14.
Congratulations for Nick Saban and his group on an excruciating loss for Ole Miss. David Cutcliffe. This is Demetrius Summers. Justin Miller guides him out. Biggest game many thought in the history of the Ole Miss program. That's not really true because they had one of the top 3 or 4 programs in the country 40 years ago or so, but maybe the best since Archie Manning had played. It went to LSU, and this one's going to go to Tommy Bowden and Clemson.
Clemson's going to beat South Carolina today because they're coming off of 2 big wins. They've got a lot of momentum, and they're playing for a bowl game. Go Tigers!
Well, whoever that was, she had it pretty much nailed. Demetrius Summers as we begin the fourth quarter. Dave Barnett, Bill Curry, Heather Cox. A little extra shot taken there by Trey Tate, sophomore defensive tackle.
That might be an ejection. That's a shot to the head, totally uncalled for. Coach Bowden and his staff do not teach that, do not tolerate that. He'll be greeted most warmly coming off. No place for that in football anytime. Now, I don't know. We'll get the signal whether or not he was ejected, but it's definitely going to be a flag. And he's going to say the other guy hit him first.
Have a dead ball, personal foul, defense. That's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
But no ejection.
Yeah, well, he may get ejected by his head coach, who's right in his, trying to get in his face. The big man doesn't want it in his face. Yeah, no excuse for that. It was not a shot to the head. That's why he wasn't ejected. It was just a shot to the shoulder pad. It was worthless.
Now Summers not quite clear around the corner. Maurice Fountain grabs him. We grab another update from Matt Weiner.
Dave, guess what? Washington's smelling apples right now. Cody Pickett, pump fake. He's got Corey Williams. Nice grab. Huskies up by a point with $1:10 to go.
Wow. Rivalries. Those rivalries, like you say, Dave, it's a great Saturday. College football.
Ohio State, Michigan got us started. UCLA, USC, Alabama, Auburn, Clemson, South Carolina. Khalid Vaughn up here to lead the rush of defenders, meeting at Demetrius Summers. Only thing that might compare would be January 1st. This many games with this much riding on it. This is one of the longest running series in college football, uninterrupted since they decided that they could behave themselves after the riots canceled the series from 1903 to 1908. 1909 on, with those other Midwestern series, the only ones that have been longer running uninterrupted. Swigert, the quarterback, and that throw low intended for Noah Whiteside, leading receiver in the state of South Carolina last year. Our ESPN 2 game track. 4 touchdown passes from Charlie Whitehurst. His 4th 4-touchdown game. School record. 4 on the ground for Chad Tasman. He had 4 all year before tonight. out is fair, caught by Miller at the 13, a 35-yard kick. Josh Brown. SEC, most questions today, of course, had to do with LSU and Ole Miss, but in the East, we have the 3 with 2 losses. And you remember way back when we had Georgia and Tennessee, history said the winner of that game would win the East. It may still work out that way, but Florida has made it a very open question.
Florida has fought back, and the West gets very interesting now.
LSU still with some work to do. They've got Arkansas left. Mississippi has Mississippi State left. Flag down here. As for the first time tonight, Yusuf Kelly is to handle it. Sprained ankle against NC State and has carried the ball only 4 times now since. That includes that carry, and the call is going to be against the Tigers. Kelly, the Tigers' rushing leader last year.
Holding on the offense. The penalty is declined. Second down.
And you don't see any quit in this South Carolina team. They haven't played with a lot of confidence, but they have played with effort. They're still flying around. They're still hitting hard.
And the quarterback is Chancey Stuckey. He keeps for huge yards. Redshirt freshman out of Warner Robins, Georgia. 31 yards. Stuckey in his 7th game. Got him in at wide receiver last week. He was the Georgia High School Player of the Year last year. Both the Georgia schools, UGA and Georgia Tech, recruited him, as well as Florida, Florida State, Tennessee. But Clemson got him, and he just showed some of his Woody Dantzler-like elusiveness. That's one of the reasons he was so highly recruited. Kelly on the ground. Inside 12.5 minutes to go.
Coach Bowden had used him some at wide receiver against Duke. Told us we would see him in this game, and because to save the legs of his wide receivers, because he had a couple of people nicked up. He didn't know if Curry would go. Didn't much think he would. Didn't think Kelvin Grant would go. Grant also played, so he didn't get a shot at wide receiver, so he's in there at QB.
For both coaches to check out some underused talent this year. Stuckey wrestled down by Rod Wilson. Heather, what you got going down there?
Well, guys, most people are very familiar with the list that Lou Holtz created of 107 things he wanted to accomplish in his life. What many don't know is that it originated here in Columbia in 1967 when Lou Holtz was actually dismissed from the staff. He says he was floundering, so he created the list, at which point his wife said, let's add 108, get a job. Well, of those 108, he has completed 106. The 2 that still elude him, running with the bulls in Spain and taking an African safari. And yesterday he joked with us that compared to this season, he thinks that running with the bulls sounds like a piece of cake, guys.
Stuckey keeping his balance and almost getting to midfield. I don't care if I were the fastest man alive and I were 22 years old. I wouldn't run with the bulls. I don't see the point.
Yeah, but when we said that to Lou, I said, Lou, don't run with the bulls. I would be in agony worrying about. He said, oh, they got those little places, those little niches you can jump in the sides so you don't get run over. I guess he figures he would fit in one of those small niches easily. But I think maybe he could, if he would just watch that one. He's too valuable.
Some of the other things that he has accomplished. He's appeared on the Tonight Show. Won a national championship. They come after the punter, and they got a piece of it, so there is no flag. It's going to turn into a tremendous punt, though, down at the 4-yard line. Chasen got belted, and he still gets a 47-yard kickoff.
Yeah, they didn't get much. You even go in and block a punt, and the thing still goes 47 yards. That's when you know it's not your night.
ACC is going to look very different with the addition of some powerful new members. Check that out when we come back. Well, in case you're not Lou Holtz, so you don't have any ambition of actually running with the Bulls, I suppose you can always turn on ESPN2. One of a number of things.
Yeah, I'll
can
watch.
on
I'll watch
ESPN2.
that.
That's better to watch than participate in.
That's Trigger, the cameraman, with the T-shirt.
Summers slung down by Fudge, who's got a big night going. 2 interceptions. Check in with Matt Weiner.
It's all over in Seattle. Washington and Washington State for the Apple Cup. Josh Schwager in for Matt Cagle. Threw it. Marquise Cooper picked it and scored it. Washington retains the cup for the 6th straight year and gets bowl eligible.
And the rankings will get a further shakeup this week. Only be Ohio State dropping.
Does that mean you and I get to argue some more?
I think we're going to have that opportunity as long as we got this system, at least a couple more years. Well, Tuesday night, our huge college basketball matchup, actually closing out 48 hours of top-level college basketball, which begins Monday night with Roy Williams at number 10 North Carolina taking on Davidson. 7 Eastern ESPN2, and then 9 Eastern ESPN Tuesday, number 3 Michigan State and number 5 Kansas. Bill Self, of course, coming from Illinois, knows all about coaching against Michigan State. He's just going to do it with Jayhawks now instead of with Illini. Leroy Hill tracking down Demetrius Summers.
When your defense
starter's still in there for the defense.
Well, when your defense is really stepped up and sort of carried the load as they did against Florida State and Duke, you want to keep the point total down as a matter of defensive pride and continue to build that as you work into the bowl preparation. You make your substitutions on offense and you keep the defense in there. Many coaches will do that. Then when you get down real close to the end, you try to let more kids play, but you don't want to let the other team run up and down the field if you can prevent it.
Timeout call by South Carolina. They're first. Now the ACC taking in 3 new members, growing from 9 to 12, and so what you originally had were Clemson, Duke, Maryland, North Carolina, NC State, South Carolina, and Wake Forest. Now this year you have what will eventually be Division A. Those teams, pretty powerful group. Even Wake Forest, 6-6. Coming off last year. This will be Division B. Look at this. Miami, Virginia Tech, Virginia, Georgia Tech, North Carolina, and Duke.
Wow. That's going to be as good as anybody. That league will be as good as any football league.
Well, you even got Notre Dame reportedly talking to the ACC. Hard to see where that would make any sense for anybody.
Well, it wouldn't now. They got 12 teams.
Maryland hanging on, 2-point win over NC State, so the Terps still with just 2 conference losses. Clemson right there at number 3. Now Josh Brown to kick it out of his end zone, and more flags and whistles.
Yep, this is movement up front, and things could get real sloppy now. Corey Peoples, number 24. No reason to be moving if the ball's not snapped.
Offense. It's a 5-yard penalty. Still 4th down.
Gator Bowl people said Clemson right there at the top of their list, along with the winner of NC State Maryland. That turns out to be Maryland. Next pick goes to the Peach, then the Tangerine, where Clemson went last year, Continental Tire, and the Humanitarian Bowls. Of course, with the ACC champion Florida State this year already locked in with BCS bid. Look for them in the orange. Josh Brown usually gets a much better bounce out of that style kick. This one just barely trickles over midfield. Gets 46 yards out of it. I feel the need for at least one more Billy candidate. Do we have any more left on the list?
At least one more.
Oh, good.
ESPN2's College Football Saturday, presented by Pontiac. Vote for this week's ultimate Pontiac high-performance play at ESPN.com/Pontiac. And in part by Seiko. You can tell more about a person by the watch they wear than anything else. Seiko Arctura Kinetic.
Kyle Browning carries On first down from the 49-yard line. Chad Jasmine over there enjoying things now. It's a little over half the fourth quarter still to go. Jasmine apparently, with his night done, will come within one of the single game scoring record for Clemson. There are 2 Tigers who had 5 touchdown games. Maxie Welch and Stumpy Banks. I don't expect you to remember them.
Oh, Stumpy, huh?
Maxie in 1930 against Newberry in a 75-0 win.
I'm just glad Golick's not here. If Golick were here, he would ask me if I played on that offensive line.
Yeah, what kind of a player was Maxie? Stumpy Banks, 5 touchdowns, 1917, and a 38-0 win over Furman. So Stumpy was pretty much the whole show that night. Jasmine just half the show tonight. Whitehurst the other half of his 4 touchdown passes. Chancey Stuckey, the backup, very capable, very talented backup to Whitehurst. Redshirt freshman.
One thing that's coming out of this fourth quarter with these reserves playing for Clemson University, Tommy Bowden will want to keep the momentum in his program. Last year they had a very poor performance in the Tangerine Bowl and got blown out by Texas Tech. He'll start immediately following this game, prepare his men mentally to keep that from happening this year. That was the beginning of all the controversy about him.
Gamecocks have come after Chasen twice, got a piece of his last effort. Not this one. You don't need to field that one, but they do at the 6, and that is never a good decision. Chavez Donnings hauls that one in instead of letting it go onto the end zone.
Chavez Donnings made one of the best punt returns I've ever seen against Florida last week. 86 yards. I mean, down the sideline, jumping over people. It was beautiful.
Their longest return in 32 years.
Yeah, it was something else.
Let's go down below to Heather.
Well, guys, Clemson's dramatic turnaround from a loss at Wake Forest to beating number 3 Florida State may have all come down to this, a simple cell phone. 4 seniors instituted a rule following that Wake Forest loss. No cell phones allowed on the team bus, during team meetings, before the team movies, in the hotels, nothing to try and get the distractions as limited as possible the 24 hours prior to a game. And they really think that this simple rule with the cell phones has certainly helped them and helped them focus over the last 2 games. And guys, I got a call coming in. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. Can you finish this story?
It's got to be important, I'm sure. Go ahead,
I got to take this. Yeah. Okay.
Ball at the 4.
Bring home a quart of milk.
Loss of 3.
Probably her husband, Bill. We can turn the tables on her. That's what Carolyn would be saying to me.
We may be done with Heather. We may never hear from Heather again tonight.
That's 2 shots in a row.
Coming after Gonzie Gray. David Dunham back up to Leroy Hill at middle linebacker. Former fullback gets in this shot.
Yeah, and the play before it was Eric Coleman, number 76, with a big hit. You try to get some youngsters in there, you lose your coordination. What you want on both sides, I mentioned Clemson wants to keep its momentum, play hard, play well down the stretch. South Carolina wants some young guys to get in there and get some reps and get a feel what it's like without getting blown up.
From the end zone, Swigert on 3rd and 14. Almost an interception for Toure Francis. And if he hangs on, he may well take it all the way.
This 3rd consecutive outstanding performance by Clemson, I would think, would cement Tommy Bowden's situation at that university.
If it hasn't already been cemented.
Yeah, if it has not already been. And plus, frankly, before the game, the statements by the athletic director, Dr. Terry Don Phillips. He's been forthright in his praise of the staff for their resiliency. And yes, they had some results that just weren't acceptable this year, but they fought back from that, and they've got the team functioning well.
Well, look where they are now.
Yep.
Who would want to play Clemson now? 4:54 remaining in this one. In a 39-point Tiger lead. Oh, good. We have one more Billy nominee. And the Georgia defense turned around the game against Tennessee, and in all likelihood their season, on a 92-yard fumble return. A 14-point swing in a game that ended up an easy Bulldog win. Stuckey on the keeper.
And a very alert effort play by Sean Jones, the fine safety for the University of Georgia. Because he could have very easily just fallen on the ball. He scooped it up, showed a little gift, showed a little wiggle, and turned it on for 92.
You know, you're showing some endurance tonight, because I thought your voice wasn't going to make it through the first half.
You were just hoping.
You're hanging tough. Everybody into the act now. Reggie Merriweather, a redshirt freshman from North Augusta, South Carolina. This will be, if the current margin stands, the worst loss for South Carolina in this series since 45-0 back in 1989. That ended a 6-4-1 season for Carolina. This one will end another season that ended on a very down note last year. Carolina will again fall to 5-7. Stuckey keeping. Stuckey dragging his tackler all the way for a touchdown. Mercy, what a 33-yard run.
And what you see is bright things in the future for this Clemson football team, loaded with young, immature talent, coming of age at the very end of the season in the most appropriate ways in the last 3 games, if you're not the University of South Carolina having to try to defend it.
Stuckey, just 180 pounds, and he's dragging 220-pound Rod Wilson to the end zone, and Hunt makes it 63-17 Clemson. They had their highest scoring first half, 35 points. They didn't stop there, not even close. Georgia Player of the Year last year. Everybody in the South wanted him. Georgia, Georgia Tech, Florida, Florida State, Tennessee. Clemson got it. He's carried 6 times tonight for 77 yards and that touchdown. And the Tigers now over 500 total yards. They're at 240 on the ground, 302 through the air, 542 total.
When you're in a situation like this as a coach, you start to wish, gee, I wish I could bank some of these and use them at other times when points are so hard to come by. Don't get to do that.
Charlie Whitehurst threw for 302 yards and 4 touchdowns. Stuckey now the leading rusher for the Tigers with those 77 yards. No easy answers tonight. Not for the Gamecocks.
Not even for Dr. Seuss.
The only thing easy will be the traffic exiting Williams-Brice Stadium, because this place has been clearing out since before halftime. A very unusual blowout win for either team. Savell Newton out at the 18-yard line. Good special team set by Anthony Waters. All right, for our Billies, we have Greg Jones, we have Quincy Wilson, we have Larry Fitzgerald, we have the Georgia defense. Who's the winner?
The winner, in a close, difficult decision, Quincy Wilson against then-ranked #1 Miami. Watch this run down the sidelines. That is effort. And when we saw him play against the Pittsburgh Panthers, we saw more of the same. The first tackler almost always suffers the fate that you saw there, number 19 for Miami. He wins.
Does he win your Super Bowl ring?
He wins our
heartfelt congratulations. Oh, come on. There's got to be more to it than that.
NCAA rules don't allow me to give him anything. I would love to give him something. Furthermore, he's a wonderful young man.
Well, this is Savell Newton at quarterback. He was a quarterback until he asked to be moved to wide receiver. The Bowden Bath already taken place.
Yeah, they got him in the face this time. I think the players love that. They try to get it over the top of your head so it goes all down the front. And down in your britches in addition to going down your back. It's a nasty feeling, all that Gatorade.
Newton told the coaches, I just want to play. Get me out on the field, so they moved him to wide receiver. But Lou Holtz told him this week, don't get used to it, because eventually you're going to go back to quarterback. Now, 2 weeks ago, Tommy Bowden making history, meeting up with Dad. Bowden Bolt 5. Kevin Youngblood setting up Charlie Whitehurst touchdown run early. Florida State never in rhythm. Derek Hamilton, 58 yards to seal the win for the Tigers, their first over the Seminoles in 11 tries. So he knows what that feels like. And now Newton on the receiving end. So he has taken the snaps and he has caught this pass from Swigert. This very talented true freshman from Bennettsville, South Carolina. Down to Heather.
Dave, amazingly, that was Coach Bowden's first ever Gatorade bath. And with all the emotion following that game, Coach Bowden said one of the most emotional moments actually came after when his sophomore quarterback, Charlie Whitehurst, presented Bowden with the game ball. Bowden said it was a huge surprise. And guys, I think it's probably a symbolic gesture in light of all the swirling coaching discussions off the field. Coach Bowden says it's mounted with pride in his office right now.
Oh, I would think so. Maybe more so than any game ball he'll ever get. That ball right in the hands of Chris Clark, but dropped. Very happy offensive coordinator, former head coach here, Brad Scott. He and Lou Holtz, the only South Carolina coaches to win a bowl game. Brad Scott's Gamecocks won the CarQuest Bowl back in '94. Says you really don't know how big this rivalry is until you lose it. And you got to live with it for a year. Well, maybe live with the happy side of it for the next year. Matthew Thomas near midfield. We'll get down near a minute. And for Lou Holtz, he will go to 2-13 here in November. 1-4 against Clemson. 3 close losses this year to Tennessee, Ole Miss, and Florida. Not tonight. Nothing at all close about this. It would be their second worst loss ever to Clemson. The worst since 1900. Very dawn of this rivalry. That one was 51-0. Good pass to Corey Boyd on the move with 35 seconds. The gain of 18.
Having said that, Lou Holtz will take this young squad and he'll use this as a teaching instrument about how life really works and how they're going to have to overcome this negative environment where they're told that South Carolina cannot become a consistent bowl team. That's his objective. That's what his goal is with his team, and he'll find a way in this offseason to get that done. He says next year talent will not be the issue on this team. We'll have plenty of talent.
Newton taking this snap and going deep for Whiteside, freshman to freshman, and broken up by Toure Francis with 7 seconds. Clemson will be a team to be reckoned with wherever they go bowling, whoever they draw in the postseason. They're going to have a handful. This is one of the hottest teams in America. And Tommy Bowden has become the first head coach to win against 2 200-win coaches in the same month. His father and Lou Holtz both fall November 2003. And hopefully very early next week he will receive what he deserves, the good news about his future at Clemson. Newton on the final play of a Tiger romp.
Dave, I got a feeling that he will receive just that. I got a good feeling about Tommy's situation at Clemson.
The happy ride after a blowout win over their in-state rival, 63-17. Our final NFL Live is next, presented by Sears. All Clemson all night tonight in Columbia. For Bill Curry, Heather Cox, and the rest of our ESPN crew, this is Dave Barnett. Don't forget, more post-game coverage coming up on ESPN News. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. Again, our final, the Tigers 63, the Gamecocks 17.